Hitting the button. Are we live?
Hit the button.
I think we're alive, D-Batch.
Oh.
Give it a second. Hey, guys, if you can hear me, welcome to Real Deal Xbox Podcast. Every single Tuesday, we're bringing you the latest and greatest in gaming news from the perspective of, hey, somebody who might prefer Xbox, sue us. We got a lot of good topics today, a lot of really good panel members, including a developer, a good guy. We've had him on before, but, you know, really, we're waiting on Tim, we're waiting on Zalker, we're waiting on a few of these guys, so we're kind of stalling, and in the meantime, I'll do some introductions of the people that are here. Maybe we'll grab a few of these super chats while we're waiting. And thank you guys so much for joining us live, guys. You power the show. You make it what it is. Hit the like button. Share it out. Help us out a little bit. We do appreciate it. Put it on the forum. Thank you. Colt, how you been, buddy? It's another week, another set of topics, and a lot of big stuff happening since the last time we've been here.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Glad to be here to stall while Zocker and Tim are making their way in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good show. People are chomping at the bit because there's some good stuff to talk about. So, and a big day tomorrow. Big day.
Hey, we so good at stalling, D-Batch. D-Batch, how you been, D? A lot of stuff going on. You fried?
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, there's a lot of fucking news out there, and it changes by the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, though, as a lover of tech, what a time to love tech. What a time to be a gamer. Like tomorrow, I know everyone's looking forward to the PlayStation 5 announcement, myself included. I can't wait to see what, you know, that console's going to be priced at, and hopefully they'll show us, you know, a new game on that system. I guess we'll get into that in the show. But I'm also excited for the RTX 30 cards. Tomorrow we're going to get benchmark results on that. So like everybody else, I'm excited for those results to come in, and I'm going to pre-order my card on Thursday. So it's a great time to be a gamer. I'm excited. Let's get into the topics on the show today. We're gonna have to clarify a few things, but I think it's gonna be an interesting show.
So you're getting that. You're waiting for those benchmarks for the 3080 to come out. I think you cut out right when you said that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it should be pretty interesting. About time NVIDIA really go all out here. Kirby, welcome back to the show, brother. As you guys know, chat, everybody listening, Kirby is a game developer, and we like to have his insight and perspective on, you know, when we're covering a lot of things. How you been, brother?
I've been great. Just been kind of tinkering around with my Switch, doing a little bit of programming work, having fun. So yeah, everything's been good for me.
You're on Tinder, is what you're saying. You're on Tinder. It's okay, Kirby. You can admit it. It's fine. But thanks for joining us, buddy. Cole, if you want to grab a few of these super chats and get them ready while we kind of wait for these guys to file in. Again, Tim will be here. Zalker will be here. And we do have, again, a ton of great topics today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us live. Go ahead, Cole, if you got those ready while I get this ready.
You introduced Zocker. You just jumped in, and then I'll be ready for that.
Zocker, how you been, buddy?
Right on time.
I'm doing good. I just got home from work. Sorry, guys. Work basically punched me in the dick, and here I am.
Sounds like you punched your microphone.
Are the fries cooking all right at Wendy's over there today?
Yeah, they were pretty good. I hope you liked your swirly that you got earlier.
Yeah, Zocker, if you guys don't know, Zocker and I both work at the Wendy's down there on 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, Colt's my manager, and he was just like, you know what? I don't want you on the podcast today. You're going on till late. It was terrible.
Oh, man. Hey, Rob C., shout out to you, buddy. He says, make it long. I'm driving home from Houston. I still have 3 hours left. Oh, my God. Don't put that evil on us, sir. RDX Devin, shout out to you, buddy. He says, you pulling a all-nighter, just in case. No, not quite, man. Do appreciate it, though.
Just in case the pre-orders, he says. Yeah, for pre-ordering.
Yeah, the pre-orders are getting close, brother. And then Ryan Thomas, and I had another $10 one. I lost it, though. Ryan Thomas, he says, let's go. Hey, dealer, love your show. Been watching the show for about a year. I'm excited for the Xbox Series S. Went from a Sony pony to an Xbot. Oh my, sir. Thanks for joining us, and no matter what you prefer, man, thanks for watching the show and stuff like that. Shout out to the Moz, Lethal, and everybody with the wrench sticks in their name, all the channel members with the green names, and all of you guys. Thank you guys for rocking out with us. Colt, do you have that one?
Yeah,
Tyler Hood said I'm in the pit ball at McDonald's.
The pit bull.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Oh, man.
Final Moment said, please tell me Microsoft is not leaving the big series info blowout stop at a few viral tweets. Please tell me we're getting our own final showcase like Sony. Come on now. Hashtag bring back Banjo.
Oh, man. Well, I mean,
Shut up,
Microsoft did have an event. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it kind of leaked online and they kind of canceled it. But we have all of the details here for you. So don't worry about it. We do have you covered. They did actually cancel that, right, Colt? I mean, I heard they canceled it. Like, once it leaked, I heard they said, fuck it. We're not doing it.
No, yeah,
Well,
I think they did.
Yeah, it's hard to say because the 8 or 16-minute presentation was for media only. And yeah, everything that you need to know came out on Twitter, I guess, which is okay. I mean, Sony's put out massive information on Twitter as well, or on the PlayStation blog, and you still get everything you need. But whatever.
Frame rated, do you think pre-orders will sell out quickly? Who knows, man. They usually, even the Xbox One of 2013, I think you could probably find a time where you couldn't get one for a millisecond or two. So Series X, Series S have a lot of hype behind them just for their technical capabilities. Let me get back into this here and get this shit back on track here. Big shout out to the Patreon shout out tiers, guys. These guys are basically the podcast sponsors. KY Bob, Wakanda XNT, All Might, Goose 8402, DT Bag and Straw Hat, Khalifa, Bad Boy Live, Assassin Lupa, Alligator 4, Frost did that shit, Tony Stark RDX, Foreign Object, Gab Quisteo, John Blue, Vec Doss, Deviator X, Real Deal Neil, Suicide King, Tasteless Genie, Michael Bowen, Guillermo Cavillo, A Squad Gaming. Check out A Squad's channel. He just released a video today I saw. Man, we've got so many great topics to go, guys. And again, if you're just joining us, welcome. Hit that like button, show a buddy or two, subscribe, and share this out on Twitter for us. We do appreciate it, guys, because we're going to give our take on, what is essentially, PS5's, what is this? No, I guess I can start with D, because D made a video on this, right? So there was a report by Bloomberg, which, again, I didn't offer any opinions on it. I don't really give a fuck. I feel like it's common sense. They're going to have a little bit of yield issue here and there based on the clock, which is extremely high. I'm not saying that report's anywhere near accurate, but I feel like, obviously, they may encounter some yield issues. But Sony were apparently encountering some pretty massive yield issues that were causing major shortages. And what this means, I can explain it for the chat real quick. I'll throw it to D. But because Sony have clocked the chip so high, 2200 plus 100 megahertz, right? That's insane. I need to, again, reiterate that's very impressive. And we've given Sony a lot of props for that. Just because it takes a lot to decide that you're actually going to do that as a corporation. It takes some money. And they did it. Now, the problem is, not all silicon is binned or created equal. And some silicon can't handle that much heat or voltage or any of that stuff coursing through it to get up to that kind of frequency at a stable rate. And when you're having yield issues, that means you can't bin enough silicon that can actually achieve that 2200 plus megahertz. Meaning you kind of either got to overall downclock it all, or you've got to have some shortages there, which is going to cause the system to raise in price perhaps, or a number of other things. So D, what was the deal here, and is it accurate? What happened? What did Sony say about that?
Okay, so yeah, basically Bloomberg was reporting on the yield issues. I think it was like they're having like a 50% yield, so, and that's pretty poor, to be honest with you. So I didn't know how accurate that number was, but it made sense to me. Well, first of all, I'm reporting on the story, so all the people that are jumping on my back when Sony comes and refutes this, I'm reporting on the story. This is from Bloomberg, and like that's a reputable site. You don't have to agree with everything they say, but it's
I mean, they report on bullshit all the time, right? So, I mean,
yeah, but it's still a site that holds weight because, especially for financial, investments and whatnot. Anyhow, so Sony came out and refuted that, and they said basically that they're not having any type of, actually, they didn't even address the issue of the yields. They didn't even talk about that. They just basically said that they haven't, cut the production, that they're still set to produce whatever amount that they set out to do. So they didn't really address that issue. Now, what you're saying to make a point on that basically is 2.23 gigahertz on a console is absolutely insane. NVIDIA GPUs, they don't get up to 2.23 gigahertz. The ones that do, they either put them on water or use some liquid nitrogen or whatever. Like, it's very hard to have those speeds stable on a PC GPU, much less inside a console. So, whether this story is true or not, yields are going to be an issue because they need the best bin chips in order to achieve that 2.23 gigahertz on each, PlayStation 5. So they need the best bin chips.
And if they can't get the less of those that actually achieve their goal of 2.23, they're basically just wasted chips at that point, right? Meaning it's a really, really expensive process, and it led a lot of people to believe that they're going to try to sell this thing for $600 because of that, right?
Right. And then, we have, reports of their exotic cooling solution. Now we're finding out they're using liquid metal. So cooling is an issue for these consoles. They have to cool it properly in order to achieve the 2.23 gigahertz, and it doesn't overheat inside these consoles. Now, I put just putting two and two together from the report, I was saying, well, Sony did do a revision on their actual chip, because it's right there in the GitHub leak that they actually did a revision on the chip. And it's quite possible that revision entailed them clocking the PS5 higher. And, if that is true and they did make a last minute decision like that, you could run into some issues that were not foreseen, and, yields, not having the yields that you need could be one of those things. Now, do I think Sony's not going to produce the amount, or they're trying to produce less? No, I think they want to produce as many PlayStation 5s as they can. So I don't think that's really changed. The yield issue is going to be very interesting, and I don't think we're going to have really long to wait for an answer on that. I think tomorrow, the presentation, I think the price of the PlayStation 5 will really reveal a lot of that information. Now, if it comes in at $399, like I said many times that they might take a bigger hit on it, then I don't think the yield issues are prevalent.
I mean, this was a big deal. And Cole, if you can grab some of these chats while we're kind of coming around on this topic, and I appreciate it. There's a lot of them here.
One disappeared while you said that.
Yeah,
it was a big deal. The stock crashed, man.
Yeah, it was a big deal when this happened, and they again didn't even mention the yield issues. They said they have no plans to change their production target, because that was the thing Bloomberg reported. And again, a lot of these guys that didn't like this Bloomberg article were praising, and many others. I saw Tim pointing that out, but Bloomberg had reported, I think, that they were going to make 4 million less of them because of this yield issue, which would raise the cost, etc. Tim, this is a big deal. I kind of woke up out of a coma and I was like, and I looked over and everyone's arguing about this damn yield thing. What were you? What's going on there? I want your perspective on this.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I heard this. I've talked to D about this. I think I even put it in the chat. I've heard this about 3 months ago that they were having issues.
Yeah,
but I never.
From somebody who would definitely know, right?
Yeah, and I somebody who would definitely know, or definitely have major connections. But when I heard that, I didn't bring it to Twitter for obvious reasons, because I didn't want to I didn't want to be involved with that. I didn't, I'm not reporting on it. But when this article came out, and it's by Bloomberg, by the guy that I think his name is Takashi. I don't know his last name, but he's the same guy that's been reporting all along, the same guy that people were making videos about when he said they're ramping up production. And he comes out with this ominous, report about the yield, something that I've heard. For me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, here it is. So obviously I went with it and I reported it and I talked about it. Bloomberg reported on it. It's on them. It's not on guys at RDX or D or me. We're not making the report. They are. So I don't know why people are trying to say, "Oh, you're taking the L because Sony commented." But the overall fact is that I think where there's smoke, where there's fire. The fact that Sony didn't go directly to Bloomberg and try to rectify the article that way with them. They went outside and like Jeffrey Grubb said, their comment was vague as hell. Like it was like, yeah, we're if they're directly saying, they should have just directly said, our yields are perfect. Our yields are so and so within this.
They didn't even say the word, right?
Yeah, they didn't even say the word. So I'm inclined to believe that there is something behind it. Tomorrow, like I was told, will probably be the telltale sign. If it is $399, then probably the report is either wrong or Sony's just going crazy because
So-
it's going to be a lot of money. But I think tomorrow will give a big insight on that.
If they're getting 50% yield failures, that doesn't mean that every other SoC that comes off the line goes and isn't working, right?
Well, people get this confused.
Uh-huh.
When they throw the chip out if it fails, so
Well,
they're
don't
not
they just
putting.
throw it back in the bin like cookie dough and mix it in and make a new batch?
From what I heard is
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
no. They throw it out. So meaning that if you are getting a retail version, you are getting a tried and true tested
Yes.
wafer and silicon and everything tested out. So that is one good thing to look at. But when you have a 50% rate, that's extremely bad. That means one chip is bad out of two. And if that's the case, which they reported on, that's Bloomberg reporting that number, you're talking about, double the cost of the chip, at least $100 on top of your BOM that's original, that's originally forecasted or originally, thought to be. So listen, I'm of the mind that it's definitely something that could be true. Like I said, I've heard this. This isn't the first time I've heard this. And it's not about, saying I gotcha Sony fans or anything. This is what I've heard. And, Bloomberg reported it and other people have heard the same thing. Obviously Sony knows they hold the cards. And it's in the end, if they come in at a really good price point, I think then the Bloomberg article you could definitely look at it different. But if they come in at like $549, $499, yeah, you're gonna have to look at it because you got to realize the Xbox definitely had a more expensive bill of materials than Sony. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
And that's why we always kind of knew that Xbox was going to be more expensive, more powerful because it's more expensive. So, Sony has a $50, cushion there. Obviously they should be cheaper, but if they're the same price as the disc, which people kind of want, that's a win for Xbox as far as I'm concerned.
That's it doesn't necessarily mean like one chip's bad. I'll throw it to you in a second, Zachary, but it doesn't mean like one chip's bad and one's not. It just means like one can't hit the target that they need to hit to make sure every developer has access to 10.2 teraflops, right? At the maximum, right? Like that's why they can't just go and upclock the Series X randomly on a whim. Can't they just clock it to 14 teraflops? That means that every single one of those million plus chips that are in this holiday window is going to have to be capable of ramping up that much more and taking that much more juice and all functioning perfectly. And that's why they can't just ramp stuff up like that, because it has to work across the board. And that's something that Sony might be hitting here, Zalker.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that wasn't Bloomberg the one that reported months ago about the overheating issue? They were the ones talking about the overheating issue. They're the ones talking about all this stuff. And did Sony go and debunk that overheating issue at all? Because that's what I remember back then, and I don't think they did. And then now this thing again, another vague message. Like Tim said, wherever there's smoke, there's fire, and that seems like something's happening with that. And I think Sony's just keeping quiet and just kind of just waiting to announce it and bring it out. It just seems that way, right? It's not a go after Sony people or like they make fun of fanboys. It's not like that. This is just something that's been reported multiple times now, and honestly, I think it might be true, and I think that we'll find out tomorrow, I guess, with the price. But I don't know, man. That's sketchy as shit.
That's exciting. We finally get to figure out. They're finally gonna drop all that information. We might get to see some really cool games. But I mean, we've been talking about the price of this thing. I mean, initially, I still to this day believe it was at least supposed to be $399 for the PS5, and then things started kind of getting out of whack. Then they're like, "Fuck, we can take the disk drive out and have a $399 SKU with the disk drive not in there, and maybe a $450 with it." And who knows what they're gonna do? That's the thing. They obviously care what Microsoft is doing, or they wouldn't have waited so long to see what Microsoft is doing. And that's why Phil planned on doing this whole Series S thing next week, because or whenever it was, he said it was supposed to be next week because they knew Sony's little event was this week, right? So they've always got something up their sleeve. Kirby, what are your thoughts initially? And we can kind of move on after this one, but what are your thoughts initially after hearing this whole yields report and all that stuff?
I thought that I had always thought when they did the Cerny video and that he said, "Oh, we're going to try and go all the way up to 2.23 gigahertz on the GPU," and I was like, I just kind of didn't believe that would be realistic, and that I was skeptical, and then
because you're looking at it like a developer, right? You're like 2.2 gigahertz. What the fuck? It's a console.
Because I'm like the Nitro Plus 5700 XT Special Edition is the highest clock GPU I know of, and it's 200 megahertz below. Its boost is 200 megahertz below the PS5's. So
you're talking about from the factory, factory clock.
No, like of all the PC GPUs out there, that's the one that I know has the highest stock boost clock. So I was like in disbelief that they could push that hard.
Liquid metal, baby. The T1000's back.
I was just kind of unsurprised, I guess, that they couldn't, that they're having yield issues.
Well, what about them saying that they're going to start air shipping a bunch of the consoles to North America to make sure that they get people are able to get the PS5? That kind of coincides with them saying that they're not ramping. I have the quote from Sony. They said, "While we do not release details related to manufacturing, the information provided by Bloomberg is false. We have not changed the production number for PS5 since the start of mass production." So if they are seeing yield differences, they're saying we haven't changed our production numbers since we started, and they would see the yields while they're in mass production, right?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Say what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you asked me a question. Yeah, so I'm looking at this both ways. A lot of people are saying that Sony is weaseling out the way they're saying, like they're avoiding the actual answer. But that last sentence says we haven't changed the production numbers since mass production started. I take that as face value that they're not ramping down production, and that they are not that they're pushing for that 11 million units in the first window or whatever it is.
Maybe they're not changing their target, but I mean, if I were any company, I would come out and say, nope, no yield issues. If there are no yield issues, but not a big deal. I mean, honestly, chat, let us know if you think this is actually happening or not. Tim, what were you saying?
No, well, one of the things that the only production that we have, the news is from Bloomberg. So this is where it's kind of strange. They first said it's going to be 5 million. And that they had shortages and that there was a problem. That's, I think, the one where they talked about the problems, and then they ramped it up to the ramped up one where it was like 11 million, and they ramped it up to 15. So Bloomberg's the only one that really has reported on numbers. Whereas what Sony's saying is that maybe it's they Bloomberg was never got they were wrong about the ramp ups or whatever. That's why it's vague, is because you don't really know how many Sony's talking about, and the issue at hand is really the yields. And if that's the thing that you want to, if you want to point out and you really want to, nip it in the bud, you say, our yields are within, specifications, and we are having no problems. It's completely false.
So Tim, break it down. Worst case scenario. And by the way, people are saying the stream.
Yeah, I just checked. It's up for me. So some of you may not be seeing the stream. Close your tab and reopen it. I opened a new tab and I'm still seeing it. Yeah. But let us know if you're not seeing it.
Shout out to 2,200 people watching us live, guys. Thank you so much for what you do. Hit the like button, show a buddy or two as you guys bail and rejoin the stream. We do appreciate it. Tim, I want to get off this yields thing because I honestly don't give a fuck. I don't want to pay more for this thing than I have to. I don't want this to be true. So what's the worst case scenario? Let's say this is actually true, because they did use words that could be considered loophole-ish. We didn't change our production target or our production numbers. Like, they didn't really address any of that stuff. What's the worst case here if it is true?
Well, I'll say this: that a lot of the stuff that I talk about is doesn't really come from me. It's from people that actually know this stuff and actually have an understanding of this stuff much better. I'm a good listener and I can always convey stuff, but these people that I talk to have a real understanding. And we did talk about that, and basically, if it's that bad, if it's really bad, you're talking about $100 on top of the original bill of materials. Then you're talking about how much they're willing to take a loss on the console. It looks like, even though me and you argued about this, and I think you're right, I think Sony's definitely going to take a loss on the console. It's just how much. And that's why you kind of will get an idea tomorrow. I mean, if it's $599, $499, which I don't think is going to happen, yeah, there's a major issue, and there's also there's a big delta, or there's a big gap between money. I don't think Sony can do that. I think if it comes in at, like I said, for $399, then at the digital, then this might not be true, because, like I said, if it is bad as they said, you're talking about $100 on top of bill of materials, which is estimated at $450, so that'll be $550. You're talking about $600 to just break even, because there's other things that go into it after the bill of materials. So that's how you'll really know. You'll really kind of get an idea. If it's middle ground and it's $549, $499, I think that would lend to some credence. Like I said earlier, and I know we're getting off of this, Xbox was always more money than Sony PS5, and it's obvious. It's a better GPU, it's better RAM. It's just a better, obviously the SSD is better on Sony, but Xbox, they always were more expensive. That was always known, and that was one of the reasons why we were always confident here that it was more, Xbox was going to be the power leader, and proved right. So, like I said, tomorrow we'll find out. If we don't get a price tomorrow, then then I guess then it's true too, because they gotta let the price out tomorrow.
We'll see, and we got we'll talk about more about that PS5 event later in the show for sure. Hectic World, by the way, and Colt, if you want to queue some of these up, that'd be great. We'll knock those out. But last week you had some guys that were we can't get to every super chat, but I try my best. We try our best. At the end of the day, like if you've got one down, then we probably have it, and we'll read it by the end of the show. But Hectic World says 2.23 gigahertz AMD Smart Shift is the future, or crashing present. We will know tomorrow. We will see. There's a reason they did that. Also, Juiced Gaming, ooh, he's going savage. Zocker, he says Sony are pathological, habitual. Okay, he's going all out. He's
calling them a liar.
He's saying they're liars. PS2 power of the emotion engines. That is true. PS3 power of the cell. That is also true, though capable, hard to develop for. PSN, you're not getting hacked. Yeah, that was a lie from the devil's asshole. Also, 1 week later, SpongeBob, for some reason, in parentheses, Sony, sorry.
1 week later.
Yeah, okay. You've been hacked. Yeah, man. Hey, you just went hard, man. And I do appreciate it, buddy, but goddamn, you just put him in a casket. So, yeah, I mean, Colt, you got a few more?
Yeah, God's Geek said, we need a final launch list of launch day games. Yes, we do. And hopefully Flight Sim is day one on Xbox Series X.
It is not.
Won't be. That would be nice. I have my pilot outfit ready to go, which is probably a leather helmet with goggles.
It's just a putty outfit from Power Rangers.
Yeah, Flight Sim won't be day one on Series X, or we would have heard them talking. They haven't even said one word about the Xbox version of that. So, And I've asked them to speak up on that, and they haven't answered yet.
Nope. Is that all you got right now?
That's all I got. Yep.
Okay. Wow, I thought we had more. Okay, so let me go ahead and move forward then. And again, thanks to all you guys checking us out. Hopefully the stream is working. We just covered the yield issue reported by Bloomberg. And again, if anybody's giving you shit for reporting on that after they report half the bullshit they report on, I wouldn't worry about it, D. Don't worry about it.
Today they were reporting on how Wi-Fi 6 makes the console next generation.
Oh, hang on. That's actually something that we should bring, because I mentioned that in a video when I talked about PS5 having Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah, but D-Batch isn't allowed to talk on a Bloomberg reported production reduction for production reduction.
No, that's because it would be considered negative for PlayStation, so that's why. But
right.
PlayStation apparently does have Wi-Fi 6, which I mean, not groundbreaking in itself. It basically allows the devices in your house don't have to wait in line to get what they want from your internet anymore, basically. So usually you don't.
Is that what people are really saying? That Wi-Fi 6 is really next gen? Seriously?
I don't
That
know.
Xbox Series X isn't next gen because it's got USB-A ports on it. So does PlayStation 5. And it has Wi-Fi 5 instead of Wi-Fi 6. And Zocker might be the best one. We should give this one to Zocker.
I mean,
you want some good
dealer just
Wi-Fi,
said it.
boy?
It's just it literally. I think Wi-Fi 6 only matters if you have more than 10 devices connecting at the same time, where they
Correct.
just don't wait in line.
How you gonna watch your soap operas though, Zocker?
I don't know, boy, because I cloud stream and then I watch Netflix and then I get to do everything and then PS Now goes down.
So let's
So then
say
that's what
people that are really excited for Wi-Fi 6, and when I talked about it, I was like, that's cool. Hopefully the Xbox has it, because I would take it over not have it, right? But apparently they ditched it. But I will say that if you really care about speed that much, you're already wired, which is faster than Wi-Fi 6. So who gives a fuck?
Wi-Fi 6 isn't faster. It gives you more devices to connect. And
It just
you're
basically
already
frees up
bottlenecked.
air traffic control. That's what it does for digital signals or whatever, throughout your house. So, I mean, again, I mean, if you're direct connected, it doesn't matter at all. But I mean, yeah, I would rather have it than not, but it's not a big deal at all. I don't know, chat. Let us know your thoughts
I'm
on that.
directly plugged in and hardwired with
Yeah.
all my consoles. Like, I don't ever go Wi-Fi with the consoles. I don't understand. I mean, I guess some people might have to or do, and that's fine. But I don't know, man. That doesn't do anything for me personally.
How's Sean
it'd be
LeBrie
cool
going
to
to
have
watch
it,
his
but
soaps now?
I don't know.
Hey, shout
Oh,
out to
Sean.
Ron Wright, by the way. Thank you so much for the $3 super chat, buddy. And everyone else who's doing the super chats. We are trying to catch up on them. Chris McGlee, by the way, he says, will xCloud play a big part in keeping in-game downloads smaller size? Will xCloud play a bigger part or bigger role in storage management? No, what xCloud will do on console is basically allow you to start playing games instantly or try games instantly without downloading. And when they do eventually bring that to console, that's what you can experience there, and you'll be able to do that stuff. Otherwise, it is what it is. It's a pretty compelling service, given that they've added it to Game Pass, which is already pretty nuts. So, I mean, a lot of people are messing with. Any of you guys messed with xCloud today? It came out, didn't it?
Yep, I played it today during lunch at work, and it worked perfectly. I was playing Streets of Rage and then Descenders. It was a lot of fun.
How was it?
Awesome.
How was the latency on it? Be honest, Soccer.
Really good. No, really good. Well, I mean, I work at a nice company, so it's like the Wi-Fi was perfect, and it worked nice in the office and 2 other offices that I was just waiting for stuff to install, and I was just like, all right, this is kind of awesome. It worked perfectly. Like, honestly, my achievements popped up right away. It's really cool. It's actually like it was better than the beta, to be honest. And I tried the beta out, I think like 7 or 8 times, and then this one I was like, all right, just logged in and all the games there. It keeps you track of what games you were playing, so it's like, hey, jump back into this, and it has like the first 10 that you like recently playing, and everything's there, and you can switch from cloud to Game Pass to whatever. I'm trying to figure out how to console stream. I don't think you could do that yet.
Not yet.
don't know.
No, it's not. It's not on there.
Eric said.
Yeah, so-
Eric said, "Deal breaker. No Wi-Fi 6. Xbox is dead." Facts. Yeah, I've never used xCloud. Not yet, anyway. I've never really had a desire, but I mean, I hear great things. You know how Phil pushed it back and was like, "Would you ship that?" And didn't put it out when it wasn't done. I wish they would have just did that with a Halo. Halo.
He kind of did, I guess.
I mean, from the beginning, that'd be great. But hey, again, chat. Let us know if you
ship that.
let us know if you have tried xCloud. Sin, by the way, who is a monster on the gamer school, he says Wi-Fi 6 makes you a better gamer. Oh my God, you guys are savage today. And also we've got Paz here, who says, imagine having to bring the argument to what type of Wi-Fi support your system has. That's absolutely insane to me. Owen, by the way, says, unfortunately, xCloud is awful in Hawaii. Well, you got those nice trees and that nice beach, so enjoy that instead. But yeah, I mean, again, it's Wi-Fi 6. I mean, it's cool. I'd rather have it than not, but it's definitely not even going to affect me, seeing as I'm on wired anyway, and 5 gigahertz regular Wi-Fi is just fine for me. So yeah, that's the yields thing. Xbox did have a virtual event. I don't know how many of you guys saw this. D uploaded the whole thing. I actually didn't upload it because I'm, Xbox don't like when you do that type of stuff. But I mean, Tim, we were talking about this earlier. Did they just cancel this event when it leaked?
What the Xbox thing?
That whole Xbox virtual presentation they did where they were supposed to unveil the Series S in the trailer.
Yeah, that they canceled the whole thing.
So they're not even going to put it out there for people to watch.
No, I don't think so. What happened with that was supposedly they put the mirrored image of the show on a front facing website, which I don't really know what that means, but I guess it means that you can access it from the world, and they got basically played for fooled once again, and that's on them. That's not on anybody else but them. They just consistently leak this, and I
So
think
they
that
put it
they
up
were
on
gonna-
their Facebook on private, or I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That they front facing. I was reading it that they put the show or whatever on like I guess like when you put a video on private when it's YouTube,
Yeah.
but it's still on the internet. I think that was like maybe it's the same case. Maybe somebody else can break it down a little bit better, but supposedly they just let themselves wide open to get
Jesus.
to get
Is that how it got
taken over.
out? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's what I heard, but again, shout out to the Xbox team because the marketing team actually worked well under pressure. They actually handled the whole thing well, but it's like this is becoming way too much, and I don't really want to hear about theft and all this stuff like people are talking about from Xbox when you can. This is every time you get leaks, and
It's like, what do you
get your whole
expect when you
show
leave
And
the
then
presentation in
Sony-
your garage, right?
Right, yeah, and then Sony, on the other hand, is you can never get anything. Like nothing will ever happen like Sony. Like
Nope.
I can never see this stuff happen to Sony, and that's they keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
Sony rolls with the death squad, man. If you speak, that's it. You disappear.
they copyright claim themselves. Shit. Smooth Monte says, "I'm just glad the stare down is over. Join the club, buddy. Join the club."
Yeah.
Also, Neon Shinobi says the PS5 is cheaper than the Series X, especially here in Australia. I'll be picking up the PS5 and eventually getting a Series X later. Hey, to each their own, brother. Let us know how it is. We are all getting one day one as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of insane that leaked like that, given that it's Microsoft and Sony not long ago couldn't keep 70 million accounts under wraps. So I don't know. That's kind of really crazy. At the end of the day, they did cancel that event. I've had multiple people say that now. And they did basically go to Twitter with a lot of this stuff. I thought they handled it pretty well. And they did basically at this event, this is what they had planned. And I've seen it thanks to D, and I actually saw it before it even leaked. Series X, they did confirm for the Series S, which they unveiled at the event. Remember that leaked. Identical I/O performance, 4x processing, and similar graphics to the Xbox One X. And by that, obviously, they mean, hey, much better CPU. Expect similar graphics power. On the GPU side, the One X, they literally said that, which I found pretty interesting. They also confirmed Dolby Vision coming to games in spring 2021, which, again, that's the highest standard of HDR. And then that's where they unveiled Xbox All Access, the partnership with EA that will launch this holiday, where you get all their games in Game Pass as well. And this was basically the Lockhart event. This was the final event before launch, guys. Like we had a super chat earlier, someone saying, hey, what's going on? Like, how come Sony getting an event and we're not? Well, Microsoft said, fuck it, we're canceling it. So that was it. And they canceled it.
I gotta say though, one takeaway, a lot of people didn't really notice that some of the dates that they confirmed, like the 15th of September, which is today, the Xcloud going live to everyone, pretty much means that this was close to being launched. So they actually blinked first. They were going to reveal the prices of the Series S and Series X before PlayStation, where I thought this was something that was going to come after the PlayStation, or who knows, maybe Sony was going to go ahead of this and this was scheduled to come out after that. I guess we'll never know. It's so sad that, especially the way Tim described it, that it came out that way. Holy smokes. On the other end, though, people were pretty hyped about the Series S. And for a leak, it wasn't... Okay, it sucks that it came out and they didn't get to present it the way they wanted to. But at the same time, it did get people talking about the brand. So it wasn't all bad news. No,
it wasn't actually. There's more hype for Series S than there was the X.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, Zucker. When the Series S leaked, right? We all saw it. And then it said $299. Again, this show had been saying that shit forever. We weren't surprised by any of the specs or the price, but somehow I'm still surprised. Does that make sense? Specs, knew it. Price, knew it. But I'm still surprised because there's the marketing and the fact that they're really, because again, we've been talking about on the show, 120 frames coming to this lower end system as well. And the fact that they're bringing so many of those games and they're really talking about the power and the performance, it just seems to be a little fucking beast. And we're going to get into more details on what some developers are saying later. But Zachary, when you saw this thing finally get unveiled and leaked, I mean, there was a good aura around it.
Yeah, actually, when the leak did happen, I didn't see when something's. I said this on Twitter. When something is like so good that when I went to every single Xbox thread, there was somebody in there just going, "Xbox has no games. Xbox sucks." Like just these like little rats that just like scurry around, and that's good because because if you got haters, keep doing what you're doing, and so that like
you heard R. Kelly, keep doing what you're doing.
I hate you. Like what you were talking about, we knew the specs, whatever. Like you did, a lot of people did on this podcast know, and you guys called it. A lot of people called it, and it was awesome. But it's another thing from knowing it and then seeing it confirmed, and then seeing the price confirmed, and then as they talk about the freaking like just what it could run at 120 or 60 FPS, it's like for $299, that's like insane.
Yeah,
like it is. Like people don't understand. Like to build a PC like that to run that shit at 120 and 1440p, it ain't cheap at all.
Not. No, it's
for
not.
$299 that's like almost unheard of. Like I really do feel like a lot of people are buying, like even on like, all right, so I go to N4G just to like look around, and even there they're like, yeah, I'm getting an S. Like they're like, even people there, and that's like a predominantly Sony run. People like love Sony there, but even they're like, oh, we're getting an S. People on Reddit were like, for $299, how? Like that's a question that's asked, is how is that like even possible? But you know what Xbox had? They wanted to do that from the beginning. They wanted to control price, like Phil said. Even in that the leaked showcase, he said we're not going to lose in price and we're not going to lose in power, and we plan to do that for years to come.
Yeah,
and that's what he said.
I just remember so many people like, dealer, no, this thing's not real. Like Phil said, there's only one console. It's like, guys, like I kind of poked at this last week, but yeah, I mean, seriously, like when you're told X, Y, and Z by person B, A, and C. It's like, okay, there's no doubting this, right? These are like the best of the best sources for one. And secondly, the way that these guys word things around, Microsoft and Sony, we did the same thing to Microsoft. We're always looking at the way they word things, just like Sony with the yields thing. There's definitely, as you see, clearly there are two. By the way, I want to come to Colt because he's been covering this thing for almost as long as I have. And then I want to come to Kirby because Kirby's over there sleeping, be a patient. Juice Gaming, again, he's over here flexing about his internet. He said, I found the 5 gigahertz works best. He uses the 4G LTE. Verizon works good as well. He also has a 5 billion gigabyte Fios quantum connection, a great way to play games away from home. Thank you so much, sir. Also, Mr. Ringer, do appreciate it, buddy. He says they put it up outside their internet network. Okay. DMZ or public. Okay, I mean, they could have. They definitely could have, man. But they're Microsoft, and that's kind of our point. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? God's Geek, by the way, he says, does anyone believe the PS5 digital edition will actually be less than $399? No, it will not be less than $399. I don't know if Sony can actually afford to lose that big. We don't know what the thing costs right now, but yeah, I mean, in general, the lowest it would come in is $399. Do appreciate it though, buddy. We'll come back to the other super chats later in the show. But again, Colt, Series S, when this thing was finally unveiled, and we can kind of start going into some of the spec stuff, because this has happened since we last were on the show, but kind of the aura and the positivity, this is why we ask more from Xbox. We want more of this,
Yeah, somebody said if Xbox has a bunch of haters, they should keep doing what they're doing. Someone made the joke, well, why didn't they just keep doing what they're doing in 2013? There's a huge difference. When the Series S was announced, the industry, the first couple days was like, wow, this is incredible. And people were talking about how much power is in there for such a low price. And they could see what it was for. This is for everybody else who wants to get into next generation for cheap. They don't care about the highest performance. I mean, there is a market for affordable economy hardware. I mean, obviously there's a huge market for that. So this has been a really good thing. I wasn't
Ronan wants to
surprised.
know about the SSD, that expansion. Like, what was the deal with that price flying around? Did you guys see that? That leak?
240.
Yeah,
or something
240
like that?
for a terabyte. If that's
220.
true, Microsoft, that's not going to go over well. And I think that's a super stupid decision. I don't see it coming in at that, because that's not what it costs to make those things.
Yeah, because if you bought an NVMe SSD to put into your PS5, if it was an approved one, that would be around $100, maybe a little over 100. So what we do know is proprietary storage. Remember the 360? Like, you're like, why do you pay double for 20 gigs or 40 gigs or whatever it was in the 360 early on in the generation? I don't remember what the price was, but everyone was saying, why are you paying double when you can go buy an external hard drive for half that price at the same storage amount? So I hope that's not a repeat of that whole situation. So
yeah,
but the end of the line is, like, Mike Gabarro was in the chat last week on RDX, and he said you are getting an incredible. He's not the biggest Xbox fan really anymore, right? I can say that, and that's just how it is. But he said that you're not getting that performance, 1080p or 1440p at 60 frames. Some games at 120 frames. You have ray tracing capabilities for $300. Like, you're not getting any other piece of hardware or any, like, homeless guy's PC he built in a milk crate. There's no way to do that for that price. And if you're worried about the performance on the Xbox Series S, or you're worried about back compat resolution on the Xbox Series X, the Series S is not for you.
Yeah.
The Series X is the console that you should be waiting for. It's the concern trolling for a console that no one that is complaining would buy anyway. Like, you have to realize it's not for you. It's like me being a PC elitist and making fun of the 1050 Ti. Like, and I never would, because I know that thing was like $300 and it does incredible 1080p 60 gaming.
It's like focusing on noise canceling on the lowest entry model noise canceling headset out there. It's like, really, this is the thing you're gonna fucking focus on right now, and it's the worst one.
You should be worried about if it sounds great, and if you need better sound in the cans on headset, you go and buy a better headset. It's just the whole thing's been a mess, and the media has been running with, how are people going to keep it in line that there's an X and there's an S? And,
what is the deal with that? Like, what the fuck? Like,
now I gave a really good speech on Iron Lord's podcast the other day when I was on there. Hear me out, okay? The PlayStation is one of the very few products on the market, and I'm not talking video games. I'm talking about any product, from a toaster to a TV to a phone to any product on the market, even cars. PlayStation is one of the very few objects that is sequentially numbered in a naming convention of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And everything else, and I know people can think of other products that go by a sequential number, like the iPhone sort of does, but actually half of the iPhone's product line is a variation of a number from the number, and within an 8 or a 9. It's really ridiculous that it's something that they hold on to. The media, something the media used to complain about Xbox, and it's not a media bias. It's just a double standard that Xbox is too confusing, because they have an S model, which means the base, an X, which is the premium console, and they're going to continue to use that. And they won't be able to use sequential number. I mean, Xbox can set themselves up from now on. The next console can be called the S2 and the X2 and then the S3 and X3 if they wanted to. But the fact of it, there are very few products all over the market that use a sequentially number system. Honda
I don't even think that's what it's
out
about, man. Like honestly, we just got done with a generation where you got a PS4, a PS4 Slim, and a PS4 Pro.
Yes.
And I don't remember seeing one fucking article about how
and the
that's
Xbox
confusing.
did the same thing. They had the base, they had the S, and they had the One X.
And they had all digital.
The Series X and S and digital, and then PlayStation's bringing out the PS5 and the PS5 all digital.
I mean, Xbox even made the base model white after 2016, and they've continued that up to now. The PlayStation, both models were black or really, really dark gray. And they weren't confused there.
Chat, let us know if you're asking the same. You're scratching your fucking head. You're like, like what? We're PS4 Pro, PS4 Slim, or Xbox One X. What are the articles today about this? Why am I not confused as fuck right now? That's my
Nintendo
question.
DS is worse. Like the DS and DS Lite and XL and all that. That's even worse. And yes, it actually can be confusing. You have to do your homework when you buy something. But I've said this before, but the Honda Civic's been selling the DX, which is the base model, and the EX, which is the full trim model, for 30 years. And no one is confused. No one, people look at a car and they go, I think that's like a 92 DX when they look at the trim level. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Rand made a really good point. Randolph Thor 19 said, right now we have a Switch and a Switch Lite, and the Lite doesn't even switch.
Yeah.
By the way, Jose wants to know if there will be an actual graphics detail and resolution hit. Will it be too hard to the Xbox Series S over the X? I mean, again, man, you're looking at a 1080p 1440p box there that's not going to do ray tracing quite as well. But $300, you can't complain, man. Like that's pretty insane. Kirby, I need to get your opinion as a developer. When you first saw the Series S, and you're like, wow, I'd imagine, because you're an intelligent guy. Like, what were your thoughts on how they were doing this, and how during the Inside Xbox Series S video, Jason Ronald really was very sure, and I said this in my video, probably my last one. Were any of you surprised at how good that video was done? Like how well it was done? They covered all the bases. They explained how they're going to target the 4K box first and scale down. They explained how, all the stuff's going to carry across. When you saw these specs and you saw the box, what was your thoughts as somebody who's going to be working on this thing?
Well, my first thought was, wow, NVIDIA might be in trouble if this thing's pushing 1440p. But after that, I kind of took it in. And I said, okay, on paper the numbers don't look so great, but it's also got all these efficiency techniques, velocity architecture, DirectX 12 Ultimate, etc. And that I thought that pretty much anything you could do on the Series X, you could scale down to the Series S.
Yeah.
Heard that before.
I mean, that's...
You sure it doesn't hold it back?
Is it going to be hard to develop for? Like, are there going to be games where, like, we just can't run on the Series S and we'll just skip Xbox?
Is the Xbox One X going to be better?
Are they bringing the Wii back?
No.
I mean...
Yeah, answer that one, Kirby, about the Xbox One X. Is the Xbox One X
What is your
better
thoughts
than
as a
Series
developer when you see these games being made for PC and you've got all these developers not only neglecting that fact, but also forgetting all about velocity and how it is essentially acts as some kind of RAM modifier, you can actually leverage more assets through the SSD and the compression blocks. How come people are forgetting about this stuff when they're talking about 7.5 gigs not being enough, which actually, doesn't even seem close to true anyway at 1080p 1440?
So I think part of the reason it is, I know that some of the guys who were commenting on it were ID Software programmers who worked on Doom. And thing is, ID Software, they are strictly Vulkan, and I am not, as far as I know, Vulkan does not have an equivalent to sampler feedback, whereas DirectX 12 does. So they, might be in a situation where if their entire engine's in Vulkan, that they would, think that the Series S is lacking on RAM capacity.
So to explain sampler feedback real quick, basically it doesn't render textures that you can't actually see, therefore cutting down on how much RAM you actually need to consume by textures themselves, right? And you're saying...
It's not that it doesn't render it. It evicts it from memory outright.
Yeah, so it doesn't bother loading it into the RAM, huh?
Yeah, it's not in...
It's even better.
In RAM in the first place, and
so that means you can use that extra 300 meg or 500 meg for the textures you're not actually seeing on screen, and because the SSD is so quick, they can draw those whenever they need them, but you can use those for other assets you actually need.
Yep. Normally you'd have to have every single level of the map fully stored in memory, or you'd be fighting pop-in. But with sampler feedback, you can pick and choose each level of the map, what parts you want of it to save on memory.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, I do got to give a shout out to 2,800 people watching live, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't. Share it with a buddy or two. Hit the like button, the retweet button, all that stuff. We do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, it's technical, but we're trying to explain what a lot of people don't bother to explain because, I mean, people get mad when you talk about tech. That's because you actually got to know stuff to talk about tech and actually be decent at it, or at least kind of know what you're talking about. Whereas anyone can talk about a game. We do that too, but we're kind of one of the only shows around. I know Mads is very technical. He's a great guy, but we're one of the only ones around that can actually understand and talk about this stuff. So we're definitely trying to bring it to you because you're probably not getting it from many other places. Kirby, long story short, you've got 7 gigs for Series S. You've then got velocity architecture. You've got DirectX 12 Ultimate with sampler feedback, which does cut down on those the RAM usage by not putting the textures in the RAM, right? That leaves them in the SSD. Then you've got the memory multipliers of velocity, right? I mean, I just don't see enough developers because they end up by the end of their rant saying, well, these games are on PC anyway, so they're going to scale just fine, right? Have you seen that?
I have not seen them say that, but
I've seen two of them say
true.
that.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So you're saying that is true. If a game's on PC, Lockhart is not the lowest common denominator. Therefore, the game's going to scale just fine and not actually hold anything back.
Provided that it doesn't require a DirectX 12 Ultimate video card, then yeah, Lockhart's or Series S is not the lowest common denominator.
But as you pointed out, id doesn't use DirectX 12. They don't have sampler feedback as of right now, so they couldn't cut down on that memory usage. But I think even without that, I think at 1080p they're just fine. I mean, I don't know. D, what?
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
It's so annoying, and I guess Kirby's got to be even more annoyed because he's an actual developer. But like they've been scaling on PC forever. You have games on the PC that the minimum spec allows still a damn 970. and you got these RX, you got the old
2
Polaris.
gigs of RAM, D.
Yeah, you got the old AMD cards, the RX 480s, 580s that have like 4 gigabytes of RAM, and they play all the latest games just fine. They're not going to play it at 4K. They're going to play it at 1080p. If they get up to 4K, maybe it's like 30, 25 frames per second, whatever. The point is they can still play it. So it's just, I don't know, it's nonsense. This generation of consoles, they're even using better memory. They're using GDDR6, and it's better memory than the previous generation. So it doesn't matter if it's actually less. It's better memory. So I think in turn, it's not really going to make a big difference. And the fact that the console is targeting 1440p, you don't need the extra memory for 4K. You really don't. And
that's something you got to focus. You got to double down on, D, because I'm seeing a few people were saying, well, it's got less RAM than the X today. It's like, well, the X was a 4K targeting machine, 1800p 4K. You need more RAM for the frame buffer. This is not targeting that. This is targeting half of that amount of pixels and lower.
Yeah, and like Kirby said, you have the velocity architecture, you have sampler feedback streaming, not loading all the assets or all the textures, the stuff from the velocity architecture with the mip-maps and like how small they can target just a little piece that they need at a time. Like the granularity of it is incredible. And a lot of these developers talking, I said in my video, like I'm not saying some of them don't have valid concerns. I don't want to say that. I'm saying that they should wait until they have a dev kit in their hands and they're actually developing a game or bringing their game over before they complain, because I have a funny feeling that once they get the tools in their hands, because some of them doesn't look like they're keeping up with the literature and all the details that we're getting, I think they're going to be surprised. 1440p is achievable for the Series X. I think it's going to be a fantastic console. In fact, in their marketing, they don't even really talk about 1080p. They basically talk about it's a 1440p machine that can go up to 120 frames per second. Now, we know, of course, you're going to be able to do 1080p, but they're not even talking about that. They're flat out saying 1440p. And I think it's going to be achievable. I think some of the settings, they're going to be a little bit lower, but at the same time, it's a $299 next generation console with an SSD, with ray tracing, with variable rate shading, machine learning,
built-in speaker,
mesh shaders.
I've got a DM here from somebody, and I don't know exactly what this is, so I can ask. I've also was talking to somebody at Xbox, and they were saying that, and I mentioned this in my next video, but they were saying that basically they're going to try to shut this down by talking more about this architecture and actually showing more stuff on these consoles. So guys, don't think that this is it until launch. They actually do have plans to show you more and talk more about the architecture of the boxes, and they're going to actually try to shut down this whole Series S holding stuff back. But this other DM, when I was saying, well, why do you think developers are not actually talking about velocity, or how come they're not taking any of this into account? It's literally the reason you have to build games for the SSD. Remember when we were freaking out? We're like, Microsoft, this ain't like them to make you enforce proprietary storage on you. I mean, they've been talking about using your own storage forever. Why the fuck are they doing this? And we came to the understanding that it's velocity architecture. Games have to be stored in the SSD so they can be shot into the system memory with the compression blocks. It's part of how the games are built to leverage those memory multiplier benefits. It's all hinging on that. It's why you have to play all enhanced games on the SSD. And I was trying to understand why developers were not speaking on this. And it turns out most all of them didn't have a dev kit. But he said that my guess is that they just haven't been talking about... hang on. I'm trying... He spelled all this stuff kind of odd. He's saying that the GameCore OS only hit version 1.0 this week, which GameCore, if you guys remember me covering that a long time ago, it's part of how they're going to make one version of a game and its scale across multiple platforms much easier. He's saying that only hit version 1.0 this week. A lot of the development environment is now actually based on ERA, which I actually don't know what that is, Kirby, but you can tell me.
Earned run average.
Huh?
Earned run average. If Tim was here, he'd laugh.
Okay,
I'm here.
Based on ERA, ERA, which is God damn it. He says a lot of the development environment is now based on ERA, which is Xbox One, basically series of consoles, not series S or X series of consoles, but they're actually moving to GameCore OS for the future series consoles and beyond. So he thinks that part of it could be that a lot of these guys are just, they don't have the GameCore update to even let them see how they can leverage that stuff. But I feel like I would be up to date on that stuff, even the basic marketing stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, D.
No, I was going to add real quick. The ID developer too. Let's not forget this guy wanted like over 30 gigabytes of RAM in these
132
consoles. So like he's not being realistic either, right?
Listen, I think that you had a bunch of concerns, and one of the things that to bring up what you're talking about, Dealer, one of the things the Dirt 5 developer said that he would love to talk about this. He's actually working on it, but he's prohibited to talk about this right now. So there are some things where developers are actually working with the development kit, and I guess they're not allowed to talk about it just yet. But we will get a full rundown. I think, listen, you have a bunch of developers that said that, they'll make it work. And then you've had a bunch of developers that said, it could be a problem. And, we're worried about it. I think Mike actually said it's best. It's probably going to be more work, a little bit more work, but they'll get it. They have enough power there to handle it. And at the end of the day, it's $299. It's good for the gamer. If it's a little more work for the developer, well,
they do it today, right?
It's not. That's not really our problem.
The first batch of games that come out from multi-plat developers, they won't reach the full potential of the PS5 or the Xbox Series consoles until they get like more experience in them and optimizing them, and that'll just come with time, and that's normal. I mean, if you look at how the Xbox One and PS4 launched, they were on a better platform than dealing with cell architecture, and so everything started to come up, and games just look better as you get through the generation. But this is another batch with Sony's IO and their SSD and the Tempest engine and everything that's a little bit new. The tools are really great, we hear, on both the PlayStation and the Xbox for next generation. So devs like have something they can hold on to and get really proficient at for building games. But the first batch of games may not like reach the full potential, and that is probably a normal thing to expect. Like Dirt 5 is a cross-generation game. It's going to run at a higher frame rate than we've ever seen before on a console. It's going to look slightly better than your best Codemasters game because it's a little newer, and that's just how it is. And expect that, and expect the generation to get a lot better and games to start ripping our faces off. That's just how it is. Developers can't do it all with raw power. I want to give this to Zocker because he'd naturally come in on this subject. But a game can only look as good as the developer can make it. A PC can bring up resolution and add some of the nice things in ultra settings and higher frame rate. So there's a lot more to come as we move into the generation.
Yeah, and that's a good segue because it is going to take about 1.5 to 2 years. I mean, you can just look at history, everybody. Like when the Xbox One launched, there were some pretty good looking games on there.
God damn, Rise is like one of the few examples where it's like, holy shit,
Rise
this still looks
amazing.
amazing.
Literally what was coming to my head was Rise, bro. Like Rise looked amazing, and then but to what games look like now, like The Last of Us 2, or like just other games, they look insane. That's going to take a while because it is about efficiency when you program it, right? Like when I went to school, I can run a program, it'll execute the code that I needed it to do, and it'll do whatever I needed the function to do. But then my teacher would look at it and be like, well, you could have made this far more efficient, and he would show me how, right? Like that's how you learn.
And you unplug the Kinect from your ass and you got 10% of your GPU back?
Yes, I did. And then I took away Snap and everything, boy. No, but I just think that's what devs are going to be doing. They're going to be going through it, getting games out, but it's about the efficiency and what they could get out of the hardware.
Yeah.
And, Sony's games of course, the first party games are going to look insane. And so is Xbox games. They're going to look insane.
Yeah.
And third party games are going to, again, in about a year and a half, maybe 2, are going to look insane.
They generally take a couple years, right?
Crazy.
Valhalla.
I said they generally take a couple years to kick in, right?
Well,
like think about launch Xbox One, Loco Cycle, fucking Red Dead Redemption 2.
What I'm saying is that even now, like for Valhalla to run at 4K 120 or whatever the hell it is, 60, that's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good.
We're gonna come to that. We're gonna actually come to that. Shout out to Harry Balls in the super chat, by the way. Shout out to Optimus Code. Yeah, I mean, again, I just do me. I'm not worried about what someone else says it's okay for me to talk about. Jose, by the way, says, considering Series S. Oh, I think I already fucking read that. All right, cool. That makes it a little easier on me. I think I got that one too. I'm trying to make sure here because we don't want to leave any of these behind. People really don't like that.
No, next gen, listen, I'm a firm believer that next gen really starts at 256 gigabits of RAM. That's when it really starts to kick in.
I mean, D had a good point. That id Software developer did say that he wanted 3090 performance.
No, he wanted 132 originally. Then he went down to
well, I mean, that's the thing though. Like he should really appreciate velocity then, because that's why they pretty much implemented velocity. Because memory is the one thing they can't just keep taking generational leaps in. It's just too expensive. So they're like, okay, well, let's find a way to turn the SSD into some kind of memory, right? Let's find a way to leverage and use that to augment the memory that we have. And I think that they've done a bunch of genius stuff. I mean, it's by far the most custom generation I can think of when it comes to Xbox. Really. Custom ray tracing, all this velocity thing, the SSD thing, the compression blocks. I mean,
custom Wi-Fi 6.
Custom proprietary SSD. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
Next generation.
Kirby, is that you?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say there's a relevant story that I know of where when Nintendo was designing the original DS, Satoru Iwata wanted 128 gigabytes of, or not gigabytes, sorry, megabytes of memory in it because it DS stood for developer system, and he as a developer was like, oh, I want to make something that's going to be really developer friendly, and they couldn't. They had to go with 4 megabytes of RAM, but
almost made it.
So even back in 2004, the RAM leaps were like not, they weren't as big as people were expecting. So I don't know what that guy was thinking.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd. 100 and something gigs of RAM in a console. I mean, Microsoft had done the next best thing and giving you 100 gigs worth of in-game assets at will. I don't know. It's going to be crazy to see where it goes with machine learning and all that good stuff. I mean, the cool thing about Series S as well is the fact that they have also confirmed basically all of the RDNA 2 features like the X. So you've got VRS, you've got VRR, which isn't the same fucking thing as variable clocks. Stupid fucking idiot, Craig. And also you've got custom ray
Delilah.
tracing. You've got the velocity architecture, which is shared between all of them. And again, I don't expect it to do ray tracing as well because there are fewer CUs, but that's something developers can checkerboard or down res or make up in some other way or reduce the quality of it. That stuff happens all the time on PC. It's a capable little box, and I guess even though we knew most every single thing about it, the reason that I'm surprised is just because they really did kind of hammer it on every front. I guess the RAM is the only controversy, but when you understand it's a 1080p, 1440p system that has all these memory multiplier, velocity architecture, and sampler feedback, and most people don't know what that is, so they're like, "What do you mean only 7 for games?" So it's just the rules are changing around memory, really, honestly. So I don't know. Let us know your thoughts down below. I thought anyone else didn't get a chance to give your thought on the Series S. I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool little presentation they had.
Yeah, I want to read what Delilah said. She said, don't you think Microsoft or Xbox consulted with their 15 studios during the design development of these consoles? Exactly. Just think, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And when she said that, I
Good
thought
point.
they have some smaller studios, but them consulting with Turn 10, which makes one of the best looking racers in the business, and with Playground, which is extremely talented, these developers that develop smaller games and big games and amazing looking games, like, what do you guys need? What do you need in a console? Yeah. I also think that Microsoft and Sony as well did the same thing. They consulted with their partners. They consulted with Bethesda, they consulted with EA and Activision developers and Bungie and whoever else they've worked with or talked to. Even if it's like, hey, it's a reach out, like, what do you guys need? What do you look for? They already said that in interviews. I think Xbox said that like several months ago. We asked developers, what do you want most of all? And they said an SSD in a console. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, listen, at the end of the day, I think that we're not going to be talking about this in 2 months. This is going to go away. It already has one, to be honest. I think that people would just really, the first day when the $299 hit, pretty much it was widely appreciated, and people were like, "Wow, Xbox did it." And then, I guess it was just too much praise, and people, were. The one developer was like, he's like, "Let's effing start complaining about the lock."
Which we said that the developers would do that they would complain about Lockhart because they're used to working on Series X. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Well, and also when it was announced, like, I remember articles came out. I did a video on it that Sony's system was going to be actually way more expensive than they thought, and so they're like, well, now they're planning to like undercut Xbox. Like, that's all I saw was like, oh, they're going to undercut. Oh, so it's holding stuff back. It was weird. Like, there was a lot of good, like, positive stuff going around with Series S, but everything that you talked about that was like either negative or try to put it down always revolved around PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it was just like, come on, man.
Very
like,
true.
Like, it was just a little weird.
Like people, I definitely think people have their preferences, and people want, people, believe it or not, you can say what you want. People say this, that. There's a lot of preferences out there. There's journalists that want Sony to win. And I'd say there's journalists that also want Xbox to win or to sell the most. I just think right now, though, Sony is, I think people are just, they're kind of like handicapping them, where I think Xbox done so much good stuff, and they've been so, they've been transparent, and they really have, when you compare them to Sony, have talked a lot more. They've explained everything. They've had hot chips.
They told you every single RDNA2 feature.
Yes, exactly, and there's no question there. I just think that Xbox nailed it as far as everything aside from Halo, and then Halo was the thing that everyone really harped on. So yeah, I do definitely think that it's sometimes unfair playing grounds for Xbox.
I think it's completely unfair. I mean, they had Austin Davis and a bunch of people literally take the whole goddamn system apart and show you in and
Yeah.
out of what it is. Like
Which one of y'all kicked me?
nothing,
And
none of that.
then
None of
people
this.
would-
Sony has done none of that. We haven't even really
Yeah.
seen a PS5 held by somebody except somebody selling a mattress.
Docker,
Like,
Docker, can you find us a PS5?
We haven't seen
I will.
we
I
haven't
will,
even seen the back of the PS5. We haven't
I
seen
know.
an exploding animation. We haven't seen and that's not a knock. In engineering, exploding means pulled apart, piece apart.
Chat,
in
let us know why you
engineering
think the PS5 is on a milk carton right now.
Giovanni in the chat says that
No
Xbox
UI.
Series X isn't going to turn out to be like we thought it would. And I said, only if the developers don't use the console. And this person said, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't use the console.
They use the X, and apparently this is a far easier system to scale games
Yeah.
on. So
I'm quite confident that I think Tim's right. Once this comes out and Digital Foundry, inspects it and compares the games, people are going to see that's a non-issue. I think what a lot of people are missing the point on is that it's a $299 console, a next generation console that comes with Game Pass. You'll be able to get Game Pass and play hundreds of games. You're also going to get EA Play added to it. The value of that and $299, I'm sorry, a lot of people are going to get that console. I would even go as far to say that console will probably outsell the Series X. $300.
I mean, of course it will.
You're such a fanboy, dude.
Like, come on,
you got to remind people too. The last $300 Xbox was the 360, entry model. There were two. There were three and a $400 one with the hard drive. Sony came in at 5 and 6 with a hard drive, a bigger hard drive. So yeah, I mean, 360 was a good leap for 300, and Series S is a far better leap for 300.
And I guarantee this is going to happen because I'm hearing like the non-fanboys that like Sony. And not the super fanboys. They're even saying, you know what? At that price point, I'm probably going to get a PlayStation 5, but I'm also going to get a Lockhart because, I get to play the Xbox games. And, I don't got to put so much money in it. It's going to be my secondary system. And $300 makes sense. And a lot of people are going to do that. As well as the guys that get a Series X and, their kids want a system, they're going to get them the Series S. That system is going to sell well. I think it's good for gaming in general. And if anything, it's going to bring the price of the PlayStation 5 all digital down.
And the stock of spray paint is going to go through the roof when you want to paint your speaker on the side of your Xbox. It's going to be great. By the way, Mike Ibarra said last week in the chat. Mike said last week in the chat that when he was there, that fan grill was not black. It was actually the same color as the body. So why did they change that? I have no idea. But hopefully, I don't know. It's a weird choice, but it is what it is. Joseph, by the way, and let me get this real quick. He says, I think if Sony undercuts Xbox, they need to actually say, whoops, we meant $249. There's some speculation as to why Microsoft are putting estimated retail price in all caps and parentheses next to these prices because they are malleable. We said this when we first saw that, and it seems like things might be malleable. He's saying that Disney and these guys spent billions. Microsoft should take a loss of billions for the long term. I mean, think about it though. Lockhart already undercut them. So they don't make any money on the system. They make money on the games. So you can play your games on a cell phone now, Lockhart, PC, Series X. Like they don't really have a massive incentive.
In all honesty, the Series X at $499, the price that the performance that it's packing for the price, like that thing is gonna darn well come really close to a 2080 Ti, man. In all honesty, for $500, that's an incredible a deal. And if it's too much for you, then of course you got the Series S, or you can get a PlayStation 5 as well. PlayStation 5 is not as powerful as the Series X, and I don't expect it to be the same price. Now, I know a lot of reports are saying it's going to be the same price. I just can't see them pricing it the same as the Series X when it's a less capable system. I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
That damn SSD and that T1000. By the way, HIPAA noise. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He says, thanks, D, for the full Series S showcase. Yeah, I did catch that on your channel, too. Check D's channel out for that. If you want to see the event that they canceled, D uploaded it like a fucking pirate. We also got Penny in the super chat, if I can fix this damn thing. Penny says, if you don't have a 4K TV, we have a console for that. Yes, it's Don Matrick down in the submarine with a bowl cut. It's called the Xbox Series S. Don Matrick, yes.
Hey, let me ask Kirby a quick question. Kirby, now
what's going on in here? I hear a lot of slander going on.
Oh, Mr. Code, how you doing, Optimus Code? How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing,
man? It's good to have you on here, man. I mean, we talked not long ago on the DMs, buddy. What made you jump in here? I'm glad you're in here.
hearing all this Xbox Series S talk, and
Oh,
I seen
man.
a couple of things confusing what I have said, and I guess
In
I
the
sort of
chat?
have been trolling. But yeah, but the main thing is, I agree that the Xbox Series S is a capable machine, and I do not think that it's going to hold back gameplay or design or anything for the Series X. I do think the minimum spec PC will be a problem in that regard, but no, I think the Series S is a fine machine. I just wanted to clear that up. I
So
tweeted
how
a couple
are,
of
I mean, because I feel
Yeah.
like, because people had the impression that you think it's going to hold back game design, it's going to hold back Series X. Why is that?
No,
Are you
I
trolling
do not.
people? What are you
Oh,
over
yeah,
there
I was
trolling people?
definitely
Code? What's going on?
I was definitely trolling that. I won't get into it on your show because you pretty Xbox centric, but I just was trying to explain some people to some things, and once they wouldn't listen to reason, I decided to go to mockery. And so that's why I did that. But no, that's not what I honestly feel. And I tried to clear that up. I put a tweet in right after, like, I don't believe this stuff. Here's what I really think. I'm just trolling. But that
Code, did they take you to console superior war court on that one? Oh
I
my
think
God.
they did. Yeah, I mean, because we've had Code on here before, and Code never spoke to the man before in my life at that point, and he came on and basically said and agreed with everything that we had always been saying about this stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I always thought Code, like, obviously knew what the fuck he was talking about, right? Because he's been on the show. So, I don't know. I think some Sony guys fall for you trolling too, though, because they seem to think that you think that as well. So I don't know, man. I can only do me. That's what I was saying in the chat. Like, I can only do me. I'm not worried about what anyone else wants me to talk about. I've been right on the money. So, so it's, from what I know about you, you've been on the money as well. It's just that people don't understand that you're trolling, I guess.
Well, I mean, again, like some people told me like I need to tweet more responsibly or whatever it is, and that might be true. I don't know. But the point is, like, once I get frustrated when I'm trying to like help someone, like you said earlier, you don't get this tech stuff a lot of places. And so when your show, when you guys take the time to try to educate people, it's not so that you can bash the product, it's so that everybody has a realistic expectation of what they're going to get when they spend their money.
Well, yeah,
And-
and we got a whole nother part of the community that thinks VRR and variable clocks is the same fucking thing. That don't actually understand. Look, I'll bash the fuck out of it. I don't give a shit. I'm saying that basically you got a part of the community that's so fucking stupid that they don't know they're stupid, and they think that we don't know what we're talking about. And you know, that's what I'm saying. We can only do what we do over here, and we don't worry about those people. So, I mean,
I have a super really quick. Freddie Chavez says, I spent around $2,000 and built a powerful PC 5 months ago because I couldn't wait for the Xbox Series X. And then Nvidia came in with the 3070 for $500. Decisions.
Facts. Yeah,
man. Well, I'll tell you what. For 2,000, you probably got like a 2070, maybe a 2070 Super in that PC. Sell that sucker and upgrade to
2,000. No, you better have a 2080 at least.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So one other thing I wanted to comment on real quick, y'all, because I heard, I think it was Colt, I'm not sure, but said one of y'all said that if you don't have a 4K TV, so on and so forth. So just to be clear, when you have a 4K TV, everything you watch is in 4K.
Yeah,
you talking about like on the new box?
Well, I mean, a 4K TV can only display 4K.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on if your source material is native 4K or if the TV has to upscale it. So like these new LG OLEDs that we all been getting, even if you have hook up the Series S to an LG 4K OLED, you're going to get a 4K picture upscaled from the 1080p. So
you won't have the pixel density. It won't look nearly as good in that regard. But
the One S and X have a really good upscaler in them, but they talked about the new series consoles having a great upscaler. I wonder if it is better than what we're seeing in current consoles.
I would think so because it's newer hardware. But this kind of leads into the question I was going to ask Kirby. But since we have Optimus on here, I'll ask you as well. Now, I was thinking, just in theory, because I'm not a developer, so I don't know if this is actually possible. But in theory, I was thinking about it. Now, their machine learning, we don't know too much about the machine learning. We've seen little things here and there, how they're going to apply their textures, and they take like a really, low quality texture, and then it bam, it's like a 4K image. Now, could they essentially use machine learning on the Series S to improve the quality to near 4K like for those type of displays?
Like
Well,
NVIDIA's
up in there.
That's exactly what DLSS is. It's just post-process AI upscale.
Yeah, so like for that one, so you got two type of neural nets, right? You got like a pre-trained and then one that's sort of like it learns on the fly as it's going. And what DLSS is, like Kirby said, it's pre-trained, so you will train your game to recognize better images. And it's sort of similar to what you said, D, where it can just take not necessarily a image, but it just knows
it has like a
this
pool of reference
texture.
images.
Yes, and then it can take and create a high quality scene without other high quality assets, so that you can render something that looks like 4K even if it's only 1080p, and you literally cannot tell the difference.
Yeah,
and if you remember when I was on y'all show the last time a few months ago, I was saying that is actually the biggest feature that no one is talking about, is whatever Microsoft's equivalent to DLSS 2.0 is.
Yeah, because I wasn't really a big fan of the original DLSS, to be honest with you. It was kind of blurry and smeary. It was shit, to be honest.
Hey, sir, I've done a dedicated video on this, sir.
But the new version, the 2.0, and I think they even have a 2.1 or now something, whatever. But the newer versions, oh man, it's like it kind of blows my mind, because at some points it actually looks better than the native image. And how the hell is that possible? How does it look better than the native 4K image?
I saw that on the NVIDIA showcase, where he showed the raw and then the DLSS. And I was looking on my 4K TV, watching it on the internet browser on YouTube, and I was like, the machine learning one or whatever, the DLSS one looked better to me. Like, it was weird. You saw the same thing, D?
Yeah, it just blew my mind. Just like, how could the fake be better than the real? Like, it's just incredible.
I cannot believe it's not butter.
So what's happening is NVIDIA feeds their what's it called? Their DLSS AI like training supercomputers with 8K and 16K.
This is how the world ends, people.
And so what DLSS is trying to do is reconstruct a 8K or 16K image.
Oh my god! So
that's where the more detail actually that's how DLSS.
DLSS is going hard. It needs to calm the fuck down.
Then it brings it down to 4K, and then it just looks as good as it can.
So it can look better or as good as the real thing.
And Sony are gonna have. That's what I said when I was talking about Microsoft. It's like Sony have a version of this. Like, everyone's gonna have a version of this shit. And if they don't, they'll use AMDs and adapt it to their own bullshit. Kind of like Microsoft did with VRS. They patented their own little algorithm for it. Doesn't mean they're the only ones with it, right? So again, I mean, it's interesting, and we had always talked about how this generation checkerboarding, interlacing, reprojection is going to be one of the biggest things, because they've gotten so good at it, and they do it towards the beginning of the pipeline instead of doing it after, so you don't have all the dithering off all the particles and stuff. It's gotten a lot better, is my point. And when you do something like that, you instantly make up enough of that performance back to do something like ray tracing, right? By itself, just checkerboarding.
Well, I hope I don't know about Sony and the machine learning, because I said it many times before, like, that's a pretty big feature not to talk about. So if they have it, hopefully they'll mention it tomorrow. If not, then I don't know. But checkerboarding is like, I can't even compare it to the machine learning algorithms, because it's just on a completely different level. The quality,
like DLSS is like the most advanced version of a reconstruction. They're using I remember seeing NVIDIA's Shield TV thingy, and they use it there to up-res like content. It looked really good there too. So I mean, yeah, it looks good.
Still.
It's interesting. Shout out to Podseer, by the way. He says, I think Microsoft did an amazing job with keeping the Series S a secret, huh?
Secret.
I only know one person that didn't think. I don't know.
He says, talking about it for 3 years. What?
June of 2018. Yes. He says.
Hey, back on that machine learning, is Digital Foundry going to be able to count whatever dynamic or native resolution if this direct ML is reconstructing, like reconstructing the actual pixels?
I mean, they're having a hard time now with just regular ass reconstruction.
Reproduction, and
It's gonna be interesting.
Reproduction.
I think Dealer, when they were talking about the Series X and their initial reveal of it, I think you were talking about they kind of let out the bag that there was a Series S, and they kind of like made a little blunder in that video.
They said that they're working on the next generation of consoles with an S.
Plural.
And I remember I was talking about Brad Sam's video where he was talking about one hardware-based console, one streaming-based console, and that's where I introduced the whole bullshit concept that we already have today, 2 physical hardware consoles with different levels of GPU power, and that's exactly what they turned out to do again, which is cool. I think the Series S is a really cool product. So it's official. For those that think Code thinks it's going to hold shit back, he doesn't. He said that. Somebody clipped that shit. And Kirby, another developer, says the same. I don't know any developer, honestly, that Code. Why do you think these developers are omitting? Well, some of them are. They're saying at the end, well, it's on PC anyway, so they'll be fine. But some of them are not acknowledging the fact that every Microsoft game is on PC. Most games are on PC, and others are not talking about velocity whatsoever, which is a key factor for next-gen games. Why do you think they're not really taking that into account?
So, Dealer, I have a really good friend that works at id Software, and but he's not a developer. Well, I guess I shouldn't. He's not a programmer, but he's definitely a big part of the development team. And one of the reasons is that id Software really is trying to move and push things forward to the next generation. And I guess there's some frustration with the dev team when people keep talking about how things are done now, and they're trying to look forward to doing things different in the future.
So why do they keep making their games for low-end GPUs and shit on PC?
Well, again, so they're just trying to move forward to next generation is pretty much all I can say. And they are trying to raise the bar. And at the end of the day, though, it's just more work is being created for them, which is fine. I mean, that's what is involved in software development. So I think they're just expressing frustration about their path moving forward is going to be different than what they thought it would be. It's not that they can't move forward. It's just going to take a little more work.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the X, the S today. I'm like, they do it today, but those are truly not going to be anywhere near as easy to work with. I don't know. I'm trying to think about why they might omit that stuff or not. But they're already working on multiple systems today that are far worse. I mean, less balanced. I mean, it's just weird to think about how they could even justify saying the stuff.
And even in that video, the leaked video that I have on my channel, they talk about it, that, the shining star is the development kit, it makes it so easy for you to bring both your games to the Series S and the Series X. So I don't know. Like, look what they're doing now.
Hold off on that. Now that might be true, but like you guys were saying earlier, that stuff is going to mature over time, and I'm sure Kirby can probably attest to this. I have worked on thousands of APIs in my lifetime, and they don't always work as advertised. Over time, they will, and I'm not throwing shade at the dev kits. I'm just saying I expect that to be one of the things, like y'all mentioned earlier, that as time goes by, the tools will get better and better, which is why you always hear me say, it's the tooling and the compilers, man. You cannot disregard the quality of that stuff.
I think that's what D meant is the dev kit is that there's, for the first time ever, they have a unified development kit from the beginning. So this generation begins, they send out the dev kits. Guess what? There's 2 dev kits in one. And they have profile buttons. You hit, you load the S profile. Hit a button, you load the X profile. And that's what I guess that's what they're talking about by, hey, it's very, very easy to scale and start out with the X profile, as Ronald said, scale it down to the S.
We just got a fact that just came in. Albert G says, game developers find it very difficult to develop for the Series S. It's a fact, unfortunately.
Oh.
I don't think that that's true.
Albert, you just got exposed by Optimus Code. Thank you. Come again. No, Albert, there's no developer that I know of that actually is developing on the S dev kit that has spoken publicly about it.
Yeah, and the Doom Eternal developer that made that statement a couple weeks ago said in his tweet like a minute later, he's like, no, they're not going to have problems with the Series S. Even though he doesn't have access to the kits. But he doubled down at the end of his statement and said, no, they're not going to have a problem with it.
And same with the other developer that was talking about it. He goes, you know what? In the end, these guys are used to scaling on PC, so it's going to be fine. It's like, well, then what the fuck did you even rant for in the first place?
I think it's because at first they're like, oh, a lower end spec that we have to develop for. But I mean, minimum spec on AAA games. I mean, come
But they
on.
should be exactly. They should be like,
And they already do it today with the S and
It's
the
what
X.
blows my mind. You got the 1660 Ti, you got the fucking 1060, you got the 480, you got the 580, you got the fucking 590, you got the 1070.
They built the
1070
Series
Ti.
S.
Like, what are we doing?
They said they built the Series S in mind with developers so they'd be able to scale the game, the Series X version, and up for PC all the way down to the Series S. Not a problem. They said it in that Jason Ronald featurette that we watched last week. So
it's actually why the
hold on
CPU
a
is
second,
very
y'all,
similar.
because I think y'all are
ignore
really
people like that.
downplaying. I think y'all are downplaying what their concerns were. Y'all talking about it in a general sense. Their specific concerns was the RAM and the speed of the RAM is lesser, and so the development model that they have to accommodate, it won't be the same. You can't just take this and scale it up or down because the memory is slower. So it's going to take extra consideration.
No, I mean,
And
I
it's
actually
not
focused.
okay,
I double focused on that and said, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's lower than the Xbox One X RAM because it's targeting less than half the pixels, right? But you're also talking about sampler feedback, velocity architecture. You're talking about a lot of things that I'm not hearing them talk about while voicing that concern.
Well,
And the
the thing
resolution
is,
is not
they
even
can't
as
just
high.
take the SSX development and scale it down
No.
the way you guys are implying.
No.
They actually have to do additional work to adjust for the speed of the memory. And
And that's why I said I never implied that at all. I'm saying that that it's still 220, 30 gigs per second is still far higher than a lot of minimum spec on memory, right? Without any of that
we got no
technology, without
disagreement
velocity.
we got no disagreement about the box. I think they're getting a bad rap because people are overgeneralizing their concerns. Their concern is valid. All they're saying is the development won't be as easy going from one to the other. Not that it can't be done. It's just going to be additional work for them.
Yeah, and then I guess that's why I wonder. I guess maybe that's why Xbox say, "Hey, start with a high-end Xbox, and then obviously go down and reduce the resolution of textures and assets and frame buffer."
I mean, is somebody like Albert admitting that his PS5, if that's his preferred platform, is going to be held back by the Series S? Like, do you realize when you say these things, you're admitting that the entire PlayStation 5 generation will be held back because you believe the Series S holds back the generation? So it would be very wise of you to follow those who know what's going on and get excited about how your games are going to look on PS5 or Xbox Series X, where the ones who are hardcore enough to worry about this stuff are going to buy their console.
Oh,
Here's the thing, though. With slower RAM, there's something.
Your mic's kind of far off, Kirby.
Sorry, I was saying something with the slower RAM that I don't think a lot of people are realizing is that the bandwidth to the CPU in all three next-gen consoles is exactly the same because they all use 14 gigabit GDDR6, and only the GPU has less bandwidth for the RAM because the CPU is bottlenecking it with a 64-bit wide bus.
So you're saying that regardless of any of that, you're still going to have the same parameters around.
So the memory speed when it comes to the CPU is
For the RAM speed.
for the CPU accessing RAM speed, it's identical between all three of the consoles.
There's no SSD that's anywhere near as quick as that system RAM yet, right?
Yep.
Thanks.
So that's something. There's so many things to this, and I just get really annoyed because I look, Code. I told you, Xbox, they fuck up a lot, and we're very vocal about that. But when they don't fuck up, it's super annoying to listen to idiots talk about this stuff. And I'm not calling these developers idiots. I'm talking about the general public that are doubling down on this and grabbing a tweet with no context, not even following the thread down where the guy says exactly what I say. Oh, it's on PC. It's going to scale fine anyway. And it's really annoying to see somebody use it as a weapon and act like this thing's going to hold back game development on Series X and then hamper that too. it's annoying, man, because I think Microsoft did a great job on this little box for the price. Like, say what you will about the RAM, but I mean, factor in all the software advantages and the features and velocity. I mean, even without those, I mean, it's a phenomenal value, man. I
don't know. Just the advancements that this generation is bringing to gaming on all levels, on all platforms, well, except for the Switch so far, except for Nintendo's platform. But the rest of the platforms, it's a huge step up. Even like PC, you know, the NVIDIA cards are doing direct storage where they're having, you know, access, you know, to the hard drive directly.
RTX yeah.
Yeah, so like that's pretty huge, because that means more games are going to be developed with these features in mind, and it means that they're going to come sooner than later. And I just think it's an exciting time for gaming, whether you're a PlayStation fan or an Xbox fan or a PC fan. Like, some of these guys' comments, it's just ridiculous. Just be happy. Next gen is here. It's like a month and a half away, and it's going to be glorious.
Yeah. By the way, Everborn says, "What's up, Code?" And also, Zucker, I want your take on some of this too here in a minute. Bigfoot says, if SS can do machine learning, Series S can do machine learning to 4K. I wonder why Series X will do what it'll do with machine learning, better ray tracing, etc. They're going to use it for a lot of things, man. They can use it to reduce your file sizes and all kinds of stuff. So, just stay tuned.
Make your bed.
Yeah, make your bed. Zonker, obviously, hey, I guess we could transition to the final part of this topic, right? And shout out to the chat who've been very patient and probably falling asleep. But shout out to you guys. Almost 2,700 people still watching this live. Guys, hit the like button, share it out. We do appreciate it. Retweet it. Honestly, we gotta cover it at some point, and we're gonna get it out of the way now. There's an announcement from Microsoft regarding backwards compatibility on Series S. I had mentioned that this is probably a possibility given that there's less physical memory on the motherboard for Series S than there was Xbox One X, meaning those games that were patched around 9 gigabytes of game RAM will not actually carry over without any kind of work whatsoever to Series S with 7 or so gigs of game RAM, 10 overall. So basically, without developers going back and porting and optimizing for velocity and the SSD and all that stuff, how next gen games will, you're gonna need work there, and developers aren't gonna go back. I don't blame them. They're not gonna go back and port those or patch or make those adjustments to Xbox One X games to make them run back compat on your Series S. So you're stuck with the original Xbox One versions of games for backwards compatibility on the Series S, Zalker.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I think you brought it up. I don't know, how long ago did you bring it up where you said that might be something that happens?
Quite a while.
But quite a while ago. And so, like, when you hear for somebody else saying it, like, you kind of prepare for that. Does it suck? I think I don't think it matters, because the people that are buying the Series S don't really care for, like, the best performance anyways. That's the way I kind of look at it. If you want, like, the best performance on everything, you pay for it. That's what you're going to do.
With your soul.
Basically give your first child.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really care for, like, that whole, I don't know. I don't really care for that whole thing, because I like that it's coming with me, and that's good enough for me, right? Like, I don't think developers are going to go back and change it for the Series S. I think the X will give you everything you need, because I'm buying an X, and that's where, again, selfish gaming, right? So,
and you'll get the Xbox One X versions of the back compat games on the X.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and they'll be fine. Like, has anybody ever gone back compat and played the Xbox One X versions of these games? They're pretty freaking awesome looking.
They did say that the Series S will still get the texture filtering boost, the load time boost, the auto HDR, the automatic benefits to frame rate and resolution.
The load time boosts and all those. I mean,
there's more to it. Yeah, there's more to it than that. It's the crummy thing, honestly, for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. We know very little about back compat or what to expect. And it's one of the things they've really kept us in the dark about, because when Bill Stillwell, former lead for back compat, was on the show here, he talked about this. They were able to get some games or select games to run at 60 that were locked at 30 without a patch from the developer. PlayStation is talking about boosting the games with the hardware to get them up and running on PS5. So we don't know what we're going to get for performance or visual upgrades, or if they'll just come up and work as they should. So to run with Digital Foundry's assumption that with a 7.5 gigabyte memory pool, that they can't run Xbox One X versions of games, because Zucker said people who buy the smaller console shouldn't care, but I also think, and Zocker would agree with me, that if you get a brand new console, it should do a little better than the last one, no matter if it was the top end or not.
Yeah.
Even though the Series S is the upgrade to the 1S, it should do better than the 1X does in back compat. But
I think they're
that's the
putting
thing,
it
we
in the
just don't
fold
know.
of, like, I think they're putting it into the fold of like the load times are going to be better. This is going to be better. I think that's what they're saying is like that's what's going to be better. And I understand that you want like things to look better maybe, or even just get a better update for them. But I don't know. I think that the back compat team worked hard anyways to get a bunch of these games to come. And then I think this Xbox, because didn't Phil say like they're stopping that whole a while ago? They stopped bringing 360 games over, and then the whole back compat team started working on the Series S and X. Right, so that they've been working on this for a while, so it took some time to get it. For them to even give it we know so much about the Xbox consoles that we're even talking about the things that are not going to be there, while we know everything that's going to be there. That to me is just telling. That to me gives us we have room to talk. We understand what's happening because they're being transparent. So it doesn't bother me when they're like, this is like they're like, this isn't going to be here. They're not hiding it. They're not saying like, no, it's going to be there. Like they're not lying. And that's the thing that I really enjoy about Xbox is that I know what I'm getting. For Sony, we don't even know what the fuck's going on. Like we don't. Like that's just.
I think they said they're gonna have 100 or so games at launch.
Yeah, I like to co-sign that what Zalker said, and that is the best that you can do, and that's one of the things that I appreciate. I kind of wish they would do more of, but they are being very clear and transparent. Here's what you can expect from this machine. So you can make an informed decision. If you want it, here's what you get. If you don't, it's up to you. But here's all the data so you can make the decision as best for you.
Yeah, and I mean, tomorrow we might get a bunch of the shit we've been wanting from Sony, right? They might talk about some stuff. I think, didn't the show, they say it's about 40 minutes?
It all needs to be out there, damn it. All of it.
It does, and it does. No more of this bullshit. Like, the whole standstill of like not showing the price by both the companies really pissed off everybody for the last 2 months. Like we were just like, what is fucking going on?
I was looking for that GameStop guy whispering in my ear.
But but it's just like so dumb. And now it's like tomorrow we better hear some back compat shit. We better hear everything that's confirmed for that system so I can make an informed decision.
So do you think, Zalker, they're going to come up there? In chat, let us know if you think this is what they're going to do or not. You think they're going to get on the stage and say, we're going to have 100... maybe 200 games at launch that are back compat.
If they do,
do you think they're going to point out something like that? Because there's a lot of people still think they're going to have thousands of games day one and stuff because they didn't even read the memo thingy.
There's people that still think that you're going to get the PS2, PS3, and PS4 games to work on it. Like you understand? Like there's still people that think that, and it's like you have no idea what you're talking about. Like they don't even know if you're going to get all the PS4 games.
I'm one of those people. Wait, I thought they said that you would get thousands of games. Like the PS4 games, but like 100 of them would be enhanced.
Yes.
But the rest of them is normal. That's not true?
No, what they mean by enhanced is that the hardware, like the Xbox One X, to my knowledge, this is what they mean, will automatically fill in any kind of frame rate issues, dynamic resolution issues.
Okay, but will there be thousands of games?
To my knowledge, there's like 100 to 200 games day one. Now
they said the top PlayStation 4 games will be back compat.
Yeah,
that's what
once again they didn't really talk. Very vague.
They didn't talk.
There's a reason Microsoft have been saying it over and over, thousands of games day one, because notice they do this every time they know Sony don't have something. They do. They really do. They did it with variable clocks. They're doing it with all kinds of shit. Like, seriously, like thousands of games day one. And I initially thought like, okay, it's 100 to 200. Then I saw something from Sony and I was like, oh shit, it's more. And then we read into it and they're like, we hope to bring thousands. And maybe someone in the chat can kind of fill it in. Them. Yeah, Nicholas Bogvanoski, by the way. I'll throw it to Tim in a second, but Nicholas Bogvanoski, shout out to you, $20 super chases. I think we can all, what we all want to know is Bugsnax is going to be optimized for the Series S. Great show, as always, fellas. Hashtag Bugsnax. Hopefully. But yeah, Tim, what were you saying?
No, you got it right. He said 100 titles, top. And then Sony, through their blog, corrected him, or basically said that that they are in testing of 3,000 games on PS4, but they didn't specify if it was going to be at launch. And they said that they're testing them; they have to go through testing and certification. But we don't know. Are they going to have 3,000 at launch? I doubt it.
I hope they do. That'd be nice.
But we don't know because, again, they haven't really talked about it. Originally, people thought it was going to be 100 to 200. Again, then Sony came out with the blog, and then they came out, and there's still questions regarding that. So, but you were right on what you said, dealer.
They better clear
see.
that shit up tomorrow. They better clear that shit up tomorrow. If they don't, then I don't even know, man. Like just be just as transparent. Just tell us what we're getting. It's
About
right
back
there.
compat?
About everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Show us the console like near a person so we know how big anything.
I know
God damn.
PlayStation's talked about more games than Xbox has for next generation, and Xbox has talked way more about the specs than PlayStation has. So it's this or that, push and pull. But honestly, I think back compat shouldn't be high on the priority for the other things that we need to hear about. We need to hear way more about tech on the PS5. We need to hear more about what their games plan is on Xbox before we start hearing about back compat. I mean, I'm curious about it, but I don't know. That's why I said we don't know enough to talk about it yet. And it's one of those things like, don't worry about it on the Xbox. We know it's going to be there. And if you're worried about getting the 1S version on the Series S, just wait. There's more to the back compat magic with the software back compat that they're using than we know or understand right now, because they haven't talked about what they're doing right now behind the scenes. So I guess we just have to wait, and it sucks.
Let me give a shout out to Hypnos Hypo Noise. Okay, he says, "Are we going to get another showcase? And are we going to learn anything about the initiative? Remember that they do have XO yet to go this year. You're probably might get it there. It's pretty damn close, man. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. Yeah,
are we getting XO?
I'm sure they would do a stream sometime.
They announced it like months before.
Shout out to the friendly neighborhood Blue Shell. He does say, just giving support to the podcast. Hope for a good show tomorrow. This will tell me a lot about Sony's situation. Yeah, I mean, we're all in the same boat, man. It's kind of it's kind of like when we found out the power targets and stuff a little bit, but with price, right? So, chat, let us know what you think real quick. What price Sony are actually going to come in at. So go ahead and put your price down in the chat right now. Remember, Series X is $500. That's confirmed. Series S is $300. That's confirmed. And those do come out November 10th. You can pre-order September 22nd. What do you think PS5 is going to come in at? Go ahead and price those now. And remember, they do have an all-digital edition. No disk drive edition like the Lockhart, but more powerful.
It better be like 450.
I remember posting about this. I put what did I put? I put Series S CPU faster than the PS5s. I was trolling the fuck out of these guys. They were so pissed off. It was hilarious. On Twitter, I put a little code action.
Yeah, I saw that.
But even if the clocks are that close, man, like who knows how smart shift works? It's a possibility that this thing could at least be clocked higher at some point. You never know. That's kind of
I'm
crazy.
pretty sure the boost clock certainly is higher on the Series S, because Mark Cerny, he went and he said that they were struggling or having headaches when they tried to lock the PS5 CPU at 3 gigahertz.
And then I think they did something and then got it locked to go above that or something. But
maybe I missed that. I don't know.
Who knows? Again, chat, let us know what you think these prices will come in at. Series S confirmed 4 teraflops. I remember telling Code this last time he was on. We know for a fact it's 4 teraflops.
Yep, and I was like, you don't know.
Yep, you learned just like the rest of them. So 4 teraflops, as I've been saying for quite a while, as Tim, all of us have been saying for quite a while. SSD 500 gig, 16 thread CPU, and 10 gigs of RAM. We've covered all of that stuff. Developers, we covered the developers thing, and yeah, that was kind of funny. Some of them wanted 30 gigs of RAM, etc. Say what?
What about your L that took the 4K 30 Valhalla?
How's that an L?
No, it's not an L, because everyone was saying that we were taking an L because it was 4K 30, and it turned out that it's 4K 60, like we said.
Oh yeah, that's another topic. And again, like we don't just make this shit up, right? So Yeah,
But we're going to talk about games tonight?
Yeah, we are. We're actually going to talk about some games tonight. It's going to be nice. So Valhalla did get confirmed at 4K 60. I don't know, native 4K or not. I don't give a fuck. I just want the frame rate.
It said full 4K.
Yeah, Ubisoft say a lot of weird shit.
Phil also said that he's excited to bring ray tracing to Xbox on Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion, but Ubisoft didn't say a word about ray tracing when they were talking about Valhalla, only when they were mentioning Watch Dogs Legion. So, what do you guys think's going on there? Do you think Valhalla is going to have a 4K 30 ray tracing mode?
Does it have ray tracing on PC?
Well, they had two. I mean, I'm sure, but they have. They had two paragraphs, and one talked about Valhalla, and then the bottom paragraph talked about Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legions. And when they were mentioning ray tracing, they were only talking about in relation to Watch Dogs Legions. And then somebody here in the chat said on his Ubisoft video interview from like a month ago, he said that ray tracing was coming to Valhalla on console.
I think there is going to be a 30 frame per second mode,
like a quality and performance mode.
When you go to it, it's going to be Jez Gordon's face.
Yeah.
There's so many secrets to the ray tracing capabilities of the Series X, as well as the PlayStation 5. We really don't know anything. We don't know too much about RDNA 2's ray tracing performance. So I don't know. I don't know the techniques they could use. See, this is another instance where variable rate shading is going to come in really handy, where machine learning could come into play, where the mesh shaders are going to come into play. So I'm really interested to see the performance of ray tracing on these consoles, because from what I'm seeing so far, at least the quality-wise of the ray tracing on the consoles is much better than I anticipated it to be quite honest. So it's going to be interesting.
A lot of people still guessing these prices, by the way. Killer E305, shout out to you, buddy. $2 super chases. PS5 $449 and $499. Not an irrational guess. Yeah, so Valhalla definitely 4K 60, they said. And when you guys see games like this, open world, running at higher frame rates, it really is something completely different. Like, that's what I said. Like, next gen, it really is up to you what next gen is now. Fidelity's so high. Like, good luck, right? So you choose. Well, it's surely up to you.
And that Wi-Fi. Don't forget about that Wi-Fi.
This price thing is pretty important, man. After the Series S was announced for $299, a lot of people were getting DMs like, what would you do if the PS5 was $249 or $399? I was like, I'd buy one. Like, that's what I'm going to do. What do you mean? What am I going to do?
That? I love that one.
I mean,
I'm going to buy one. What do you mean?
I think they should offer a ray tracing mode at 60, whatever resolution or checkerboarding they might have to do. So if they're running native 4K 60, all they have to do is checkerboard.
Have it. Yeah.
I gotta say though, it's pretty amazing. Like, if you really think about it, last generation.
I mean, just if it's running checkerboard 4K 60, I would just say, or if it's running native 4K 60, like they say, then just checkerboard it and get that 20 or so frames back. Slap that into ray tracing, maybe drop the res a little bit more. Like, the game still look phenomenal with ray tracing on it. Like,
I think the dealer, that's something like maybe you and Colt can help me understand this, or the entire panel maybe. I've noticed that certain segments of the gaming community act as if checkerboarding is a bad thing, and I think checkerboarding is a great solution. Why do people act like?
I mean, in 2016, it was a bad thing because there's only one system having to do it for one. And secondly, the checkerboarding back then wasn't nearly as good. So, I mean, we almost preferred to play a native image. But yeah, checkerboarding, interlacing, all that stuff's like the future, basically, right? So
yeah, and the other reason was for the first couple of years on the Xbox One X, the PS4 Pro was doing checkerboarding that first year. Then the One X came out and it had a few native resolutions. So automatically the community was like, well, Xbox native resolution is better. And in analysis, the native resolutions did look better, but checkerboarding has improved so much, especially in, I think it was early 2018 or maybe 2019, like Devil May Cry 5 came out and Digital Foundry couldn't tell if it was checkerboarded or reprojection or what they were using to get a full 4K frame buffer. Like, it's really phenomenal.
I mean, if I can slap checkerboarding, have a mode with that on at a slightly lower res, but have 60 with ray tracing, I'll take that 100% of the time.
Yeah, I personally think machine learning is going to be the key. I really think they're going to implement that for these situations. And I'm not even against the dynamic resolution if you want to enable ray tracing.
Yep.
What amazes me honestly is that, like, I'm not a huge fan of Assassin's Creed. It's okay, like, whatever. You guys know my thoughts. But at the same time, last generation's hardware, running that game at 4K 60, like you pretty much needed like the top end. I don't even think it was holding 60 all the time. I think it had some drops.
Look, this show's running a little.
Do you not like Assassin's Creed because you said it was 60 on Stadia?
No, I don't like Assassin's Creed.
That was Xbox One X, Zucker.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, this show's running long as fuck. So yeah, Valhalla 4K 60. They do have that frame rate there. Ubisoft, thank you. You did what's right. And again, it's not that we can't enjoy 30 FPS games. Of course we have. It's that we want the performance we're paying all that money for. That's what it's about.
Yep.
Gears Tactics, by the way, does come out day one of Series X. We've played it.
Game.
It's not bad. I'll finish it on console. EA Play included in Game Pass. We covered that earlier. No additional charge. Series S, we did that. The backwards compatibility thing. The Xbox Series V. Man. That's what is that? Even if that is just a made up rumor, it is likely they had a tier of Xbox Series X that was powered. Series V is somewhere in between the Lockhart and the Series X. So it's basically like a PS5 in power. And I know that they built a pro power level Xbox One X in 2016. They never released it. They did confirm that. This, if it is real, is probably what this is. It's a 2019, what a 2019 Xbox Series X would have looked like. And they just didn't
give me
drop
props. Give me props for the V at least.
I think it's fake.
Remember when I said that next generation Xbox was going to be called V or some form of V or 5? And you,
yeah, and you were still dead wrong when it didn't get called that.
Hey, but I got that 60 frames in Valhalla.
Tim, what were your what the fuck is this series Voltron Xbox? What the fuck is this?
Voltron.
I heard it's something cloud related. I first thought it was the dongle that was rumored, or that was one of the options when they first talked about it, but it's not that. Heard it's something server based. That's from I think I read that from Jez, but I don't think it was ever
Cording.
An actual console.
By the way, if you see Jez on Twitter, tell him to drink a Red Bull and stay up long enough to do the show. He's up at weird hours anyway. Also, guys, if you're still here, 2,500 plus, still here listening to us talk about the most boring shit in the world right now, hit that like button, share it out, retweet it. We do appreciate it, guys. Subscribe, support all these guys. Gamer by Choice, $20 super chat says, Dealer, I appreciate you giving with all the hardware tech talk as well as the games talk. He does appreciate that stuff. He also appreciates the guests. Always a great show. He is getting Series X and PS5 day one, much like we are. Mm-hmm. And the Tech Talk helps him get excited for them. So that's good. There's a lot of cool stuff here, man. So there's a lot of people that drag gaming down, man. That's definitely not us. We try to lean more positive. So thank you very much, sir. But yeah, so you think it's something server related, maybe a test unit or something, Tim?
Yeah, like I said, I read that, and I don't think it's diskless or whatever. I don't think it was a console, to be honest.
Okay.
That's what
Lando Calrissian just fucked you up in this game.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I'm with Tim. I don't think it's real. It just doesn't make sense. You already have a low end Xbox Series S. You got the Xbox Series X. To have one that's a little less powerful makes absolutely no sense. The only thing that would make sense is an all digital Xbox Series X. That's the only thing.
Yeah. I wonder if they should have just went with the all digital. I mean, you can't because of backwards compatibility. But
yeah, I think their strategy is sound. I really think they laid a heavy hand on Sony, and people can say all they want that, Sony's the market leader and everybody's going to want a PlayStation 5. And I agree, a lot of people are going to want a PlayStation 5, but that $299 price point is the sweet spot. And they even mess it up even more for the competition with the all access, like $24.99. You get 2 years of Xbox Game Pass. You get the console, $10 more. You get a Series X. Like, if people really don't think that's going to make a dent, they're mistaken. And Game Pass is really going to drive the value forward because you have access to all these games. And now EA Play, and like I said,
damn, you got an inflatable arm floating tube man next to you and everything. Shit, you're trying to sell some Xboxes today, D-Batch.
But realistically, it's gonna sell like crazy. You can like whatever brand you want, but just be honest. It's a great
deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Just for context, Series V is like it was like a prototype rumored. I mean, apparently there was some leaked images. We don't know if it's real, but who cares? Honestly,
invite me to your
exactly.
channel, man. We can debate this what casual's gonna do topic a little bit later.
Sure.
Viper XT says, what do you guys think? Oh, Tim, this might be a good one for you because I've been out of the loop. Viper XT wants to know what Jeff Grubb was referring to when he said Microsoft had a big purchase, but it wasn't studio related.
I think that they're possibly looking to do some Game Pass day one third party. That's what my personal opinion is. The reason why, obviously, is to kind of pad the loss of Halo. And to be honest, I think they should. I think if they can add Valhalla day one on Game Pass or Watch Dogs day one on Game Pass,
that'll scare Game Pass members off.
I think that would be a very good thing. I don't think a Cyberpunk would happen, but again, it's like somebody told me. He said basically, if you lose Halo, you have to somehow make up for that, and I agree with that. I think that they should do something like that. I've also heard other rumors that a studio is involved, but the Halo stuff, a lot of people came out and said it wasn't true. Again, this is like with the GitHub leak. I mean, not the yield leak. I heard, and I know that dealers heard for 2 months that this Bungie thing has been going back and forth. And the last I heard was that Bungie basically is asking for an exorbitant amount of money, and they're not coming to terms. But Jeffrey Grubb is a good journalist, and people were on him because Pete Parsons came out and said it's not true. Listen, it possibly couldn't be true, but there was a huge rumor for the longest time from numerous people and very good sources that Bungie and Xbox have been talking, and you could definitely see the writing on the wall when you have day one DLC coming to Game Pass, which is a big deal.
Joe, keep hope alive, Xbox. Thank you, sir.
So like what Jeff, I listened to that little podcast he was talking about. He was saying that he thought it was the Bungie purchase, and he was like, "That's what I thought it was until like things fell through, and that you were saying they were asking for a lot of money. Bungie was, and like an obscene amount, and so they were just like no, and so but they're still spending something, they're still buying something, and he said maybe it is Game Pass or maybe it is a third party game that they're buying, and it's just." I don't know. Like, I think if it is, it's obviously going to be revolved around Game Pass because that's their bread and butter. It's obviously not the EA stuff because that was already known when he said this. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it is, if it is anything, right? Because that is what's going around now. And if it is Bungie, what does that say for 343 industry? To be honest,
at this point, I mean, I'm not a big Bungie fan. I'd rather them give Halo back. So I don't know. Bungie owe a lot of money too. I think people forget they took out like a $500 million loan just to get away from Activision. So you're talking about spectrums of fuckery that we are not really thinking about here. But yeah, again, hey, it could be, maybe not. I don't care. PS5 Showcase. That is going to be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 3 p.m. Central and 1 p.m. Zocker time. And of course, you can expect to learn the price there. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of jaw-dropping game there. You're going to learn about some more games and ultimately a release date, right, Colt? What are you expecting to hear about from Sony? And really, where is your final price resting for the PlayStation 5?
The digital PS5 will be $400, and the disc space will be $500, which I don't agree with, but I think that's what it's going to be. I don't think it's $100 more for a UHD Blu-ray drive, but that.
So why are you saying that?
I mean, that's what I'm hearing, and I've talked to people that are thinking that's what it's going to be too. So I'm just going to sit on it and expect it because I'm buying the digital and it's only $400, and that's amazing. I also think that
And these are
we
just
are
your
going-
predictions, so nobody can try to hand out a fucking. This is his
Oh,
guess, so chill the fuck
I don't
out.
give a flying crap if someone says I got a prediction. Like people worry about that way too much. They're like Colt said that this number would be, or it's Colt said it's RDNA 1 and it's not. It's like that's what the
It's like it's
that's what the
custom.
information was.
It's custom.
Yeah, it's custom. That's what the hardware test said.
Yeah.
I made a video about it like 7 months ago. Anyway, I think we're going to see some gameplay, extensive gameplay from Miles Morales, so that they can say, "Don't worry, we're going to make it great. It's not coming out at launch." And
Ouch.
I've been hearing that
We have
it
heard
might,
that,
it
yeah.
might be delayed. Yeah, dealers been hearing it too. So when I thought about that, I thought, knowing Sony, they're going to show us some excellent gameplay to say, here's how it looks. Don't worry, it's going to be amazing. We need a little more time. And I totally understand it because right now it's not easy to finish a game with the way things are and how people are separated. And I think a lot of games are going to be delayed over the next year. A lot of TV shows and a lot of movies. So be ready for it because it's tough. It's just this thing is going to echo throughout the next several months.
The economy showed it. The Tenet released and performed horribly. Like a lot of things are going to get
Because the
delayed.
only
A
thing
lot
in the theater where you're watching it was Rona. I mean, what the fuck would think that's a great idea?
Warner Brothers wanted to save the movie industry and save entertainment.
Well,
and they
fucking that movie ain't the one, Chief.
Yeah, no movie is the one.
Exactly. Well, what the fuck are they thinking?
Supposedly, there's some jaw-dropping moment. So I would expect that they're going to tease God of War is coming mid or late. Then they won't say when, but I'm assuming that God of War, the next one, is coming in mid generation, like in 2 to 3 years from now, and that will carry that game will carry the PlayStation brand for the place to be for exclusives for a long time. Just the hope of that game, since the last one was so amazing.
I'm looking forward to it, but I mean, again, despite we have heard it basically not from a bunch of sources or anything, but I mean, the Spider-Man thing, that's definitely been said that it might not make launch. I mean, I guess we'll see. I wanted to play it day one, so I hope it makes launch. Let's make these a little faster because we gotta get the fuck out of here. Tim Dog. Tim Dog. Price, release date. What do you expect?
I was expecting $549, $499, but I $490, $49, possibly $399 for the digital. Outside chance, but I'm going to say cement in it $449. I think they're going to have a good show. I think that they're going to show a couple of Money Hat exclusives and or 1 year exclusives, and I think they possibly could show a teaser of God of War 2. I think that they know how to put on a good show, and I think they're going to do it. Biggest thing is though the price, the takeaway, and if it's $549, $499, expect there to be a lot of shit going on because that would be a big L for them. But $449, $449 hold serve. Listen, $499, even $399, that's a huge thing. $399 is, that gets me day one. You know what I mean? Like, I think the difference between $449 and $399 is huge. And
when do you think the release date is?
November 17th, November 20th, around there. I agree with Rand. So that's what I got to say, and I got to get going, guys. It's been a pleasure. Optimus, Kirby, thank you. You guys rule.
Yeah, give Tim a thumbs up in the chat, guys. Follow him at Xcloud Tim Dog on Twitter, and support the guy.
Love you all.
He loves you all. Thanks, Tim. It was a long show. Code, real quick. We'll get our guests out of here first. What kind of price, release date, predictions, and real quick, what do you think they might show?
I think the show is going to be fabulous. I don't know what they're going to show. I just know it's going to be great, whatever it is.
Fabulous.
Price, I'm thinking maybe $300 and $399.
What?
Wait, what'd you just say?
$300 and $399. So $300 and $400 is what I think.
Hang on, somebody you had too many Kool-Aid packets today. Code, what the fuck did you just say? He's doing rails of Kool-Aid, people.
300 and 400. That's what I'm thinking.
Holy shit, bold though. All right. Kirby, brother, what are you thinking for price, release date, and what do you hope to see?
I'm thinking 400 for the digital PS5, 500 for the disc. Release date, I don't know, mid-November, I guess. And I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow.
I mean, honestly, if it comes in at 300, that's a hell of a loss, and that's like a crazy strategy that you're like, man, that took some gumption. D-batch price, release date, what do you hope to see?
So the price, I've said it like a gazillion times. I think the only answer they have to the Series S is a $399 price point for the all digital. I think they could take a bigger loss on that console just because it's digital and there's no middleman. You're forced to buy all of your content through Sony, and you're going to have to buy content for it because it's a digital console. So realistic price is probably $449, but I think $399 they might do it. The regular console, I've heard $499 for the longest time, and I just can't see them pricing it the same as the Series X because it's just less powerful, and I don't think consumers are that stupid.
D-batch, what do you think it's going to be?
$479.99 for that one. I think we're going to see
$479.
Yep, $479.
The fuck?
Jeez, Bob Barker.
What's going on today?
I think I think we're going to see a new exclusive title from it. I think they're either going to open up the pre-orders directly after the show and say, yeah, pre-orders open now, or the next day. I don't have to wait long to pre-order it.
Is D using pesos, or what's he doing for that?
Yeah, D is in some kind of currency that dogs and cats use.
No, November 17th. I think it's going to get launched. Yeah, you don't think it can't be $499. It just can't.
It doesn't have to be an even 100 or even 50 round, but D's right. Like that is a possibility, but $479 is strange. Like they'd really be nickeling and diming the flexibility between how much they need to make or lose on that.
Basically,
console.
It's weird, is what you're
which
saying.
is smart. I mean,
hey, Zalker, what are you thinking for price, release day, and what do you hope to see? Besides PS5 light on fire right on stage, knowing you.
It's in trouble. I want to see. Well, I think it's going to be what Tim said, $449. I said that months ago. I remember saying that, so I think it's going to be $449, and I think that it's going to be $499. I think they're going to make a $50 difference, and then they're going to release it November 17th to November 20th, and then they're going to show a pretty. I think they have to show a game, and I think because of the price, they're going to show a badass game like God of War or something. I think that they understand that they need to do that to bring people in, and they're going to do what Sony does. They're going to show a little bit of PlayStation 5 gameplay, and harp on that a little bit more because Xbox hasn't shown an abundance of gameplay on the Series X or S. So
yeah, I mean, hell, recently on the S, they've shown all these different games running on it, like Watch Dogs and Valhalla. It's like, where the fuck is the X gameplay? God dang it.
Exactly. So that's what I think they're going to show what it can do. I think they're going to show a little bit more Ratchet and Clank, and then I think they're going to show because that thing's like truly next gen, and then probably God of War, or delay Miles Morales, and if they delay it, I'm going to cry in a corner, and that's it.
Shout out to Psychonauts, by the way. Thank you, buddy. So that's everyone, right? I mean,
minus you.
I'm just gonna stick to where I've always been, but add the the higher end SKU, $399 and $449, right? So I'm so tired.
Dealer, say a weird number like D-batch.
D-batch 542. Yeah, I'm gonna 400, 450. Fuck it. I think that's where they originally planned to come in, and I'm just gonna stick with it just because it's where I've always been. And
I thought you were at $499.
Huh?
No, he was always been at 400.
Always.
So
Before
Colt,
they had two models.
I know the show's been going long, but Colt, do you really think that if Microsoft hears Sony's price and they say it is $449, that they're then going to lower the cost? You said they had $50.
I am an absolutely not. I do not believe that Microsoft or Xbox is going to move the price based on what PlayStation says on Wednesday. And it sounded like some people in the panel here think they could. I am standing firm that they said their price. ERP is just a legalese, and that's the price. I'm not in the camp that says they're going to flex and be flexible with Sony's announcement. It was unfortunate that they got leaked. and they said it now because I truly think that Xbox knew they had a certain amount of time until Sony would have to say it, and then they were going to come in with their, aha, we got you at $300.
I mean, I will say there's a reason their event was after Sony's event. They knew when it was.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely believe what we heard. And I definitely believe they had a $50 margin they were able to swing either way. So they when Phil says they're going bold, I think this is what he means. But again, we haven't really talked about any of this publicly. It's I mean, who knows? It is weird. They've never done this before where they're like, you know, ERP like this. And it could signify that they do say, you know what? Announcing a price drop. You thought it was amazing before, fuck it. You know, that would be weird, but not as weird as a $300 PS5 code. I'll say that.
That would be so freakingly awesomely petty, and it would be good revenge.
It's to basically maintain parity.
Yeah.
So if Sony come in $50 cheaper, like let's say the disc CU PS5 is $449, like I'm thinking it will be, then it would be for them to be like, you know what, you're not getting any edge on us at all, and we have all of these other things aside from fucking games right now that we've got you on.
I'll say this real quick though. Whatever price Sony comes in with tomorrow, that's going to be their bottom line. I know for a fact they're trying not to take the least amount of loss on the system. So I think they're forced to lower the price. I do think that they wanted a higher price point. I think it is what it is now. And if Microsoft can counter, has that wiggle room, holy shit, that's going to be really epic. It's going to be as epic as this is how we share games. I guarantee you it.
Yeah. Well, hey, again, guys, everyone's still watching. Hit the like button, share it out. We do appreciate it, guys. That's our final fucking topic, finally. And thank you guys for joining us. Seriously, so much stuff that we covered today in terms of the technical stuff because of everything that's happened, and the Series S was revealed, and all this stuff. So it's all good stuff, and hopefully Microsoft have some games to announce that we can really start talking about, because that's what we want to talk more about. Hopefully the industry remembers how to release games, but we get it. We understand why. Again, thanks for joining us, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Check the links down below. Thanks to the patrons, the channel members, all that stuff's there if you give a fuck. Colt, let's do some outros. How you been, buddy? Where can people find you, and what have you been playing?
They can find me on Xbox and YouTube at Colt Eastwood, and Twitter. I've been playing Hot Shots Racing on Game Pass. I've been playing Avengers, and I think I'm done. I got like 20% of the way through it, and I am done with that game. It's not good enough for me. Wow, that sounded really rude. I just don't like it. I'm not enjoying it whatsoever, and I just have to be honest with myself. I'm not going to play it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I'm sorry I didn't like it. I got it for free from Verizon. Thank goodness for that, but I just don't enjoy it whatsoever.
Hang on
not
a
at
second.
all.
Imperious one, buddy.
Whoa, what's up?
What the fuck are you talking about, man? No one said Sony was going to price match the fucking Xbox Series S.
Well, Infurious One was.
I mean, honestly, man, like I like Infurious One. He's a little radical, but I mean, less time in all caps and focus on what the fuck is being said instead of banging that goddamn keyboard, and you won't make that kind of mistake.
Infurious One. Just remember, bud, we've looked at what's inside the PS5. It's got about.
There's no need to explain because I don't even know how that conclusion was drawn. So again, shout out to Infurious One. Just double check your hearing before you fucking just all caps me like that. You almost got Thanos. Hey, so you can find Colt Eastwood at Colt Eastwood. D-Batch, buddy, where can people find you, and what have you been playing?
You can find me at D_Batch on Twitter, and of course on YouTube at DEEBATCH. To be honest with you, I haven't really been playing a lot. I fired up Avengers the other day, and then I fired up Flight Simulator, and the 4K performance is just, I'm not getting the 4K 60 that I want, and it's time for me to upgrade my PC. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not playing anything till I get my RTX 3080, man. So yeah, I'm not playing too much right now. Yeah, it was a good show. I'm really excited for all of this next gen stuff. I can't wait for the RTX stuff the reviews to come in tomorrow, and to order my card on Thursday. Yeah, great show.
Hey, also we've got Kirby, buddy. What have you been playing, and where can people find you, man? Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks. I have been playing a little bit of War Thunder and a lot of Super Mario Maker 2 recently. So I'm kind of enjoy those punishing Kaizo Mario levels, but
Your mic's a little off.
sorry. I was saying I liked those a lot of those tough Mario levels in Mario Maker 2, and you can find me at Twitter as Kirby Zero Luis.
Awesome. Yeah, be sure and support Kirby for coming on here, game developer. Another one stopped in, which I'm very glad he did. I've always said it, code is a real one. You know, from what I've seen, he keeps shit real, and unfortunately some people fall for the trolls there, code. But tell people where they can find you, man, and actually tell them, don't be stubborn. And what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing this little indie game called Dex, DEX. I really enjoyed it. I just beat that the other day. And now I'm giving God of War another shot. I tried it earlier. I didn't like it. People have been asking me, really encouraging me to try it again.
You didn't like God of War?
No, I get a lot of flack for that too. No, I didn't really like it. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to see. And then on Xbox, I've been playing Wasteland 3, which I love a lot. I love strategy games.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, you redeem yourself for half a second.
And you can find me, like I said, if people really want to find me, dealer, they can. But I have decided to start co-hosting the show Any Given Sunday live. So check that out on YouTube. It's on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Check code out.
Dealer, you told me, you was like, Optimus, you always welcome on the show. I'm like, man, let me see if he was telling the truth. And it was. I was able to come right in. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. You pop right in and out. Zalker, buddy, what have you been playing and where can people find you, man?
I've been playing a lot of Company Heroes, the Avenger game, a bunch of that. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Me and Colt differ on it, but I'm really enjoying the game. Got Thor, just having a good time with that game. And then I've been playing Streets of Rage 4 a little bit. Got through that a little. I'm on the final boss.
Nice.
I've been playing on Game Pass. I played golf with my friends till late at night. That is the dumbest, funnest game. You should everybody try it out. It's just stupid when you play against your friends. It's a lot of fun, honestly. It's on Game Pass. And speaking of Company of Heroes, check it out. Company of Heroes 2 is coming to Game Pass on PC. If you like strategy games, RTS games, that is an amazing game and one of the highest rated RTS games ever. It's a World War II thing. Check it out. And you can find me on Twitter at Zalker87 and on YouTube, Zalker87, and probably in your recommends.
Awesome. Hopefully we can change that recommend thing soon. Shout out to Lupa and all the channel members and the moderators, Lethal and Obi and Wilmy, all locking it down, crushing heads. I'm going to be on Wilmy's show tomorrow, by the way, with King David.
Nice.
Dave is one of my favorite humans to podcast with. Even if we disagree on some stuff, like it's still just funny as hell, and we can just joke and have a blast. So I'll be on Wilmy's show tomorrow. Check that out. I'll definitely link that on my Twitter. Jesus, this guy's still going off. So yeah, check the Twitter and I'll have that post there. You guys can go there and watch that episode. And again, shout out to everyone who tuned in live, everyone that will after the fact, 40 to 60K after the fact. We do appreciate it. Hit the like button, share it out. And again, you guys power everything that we do. Long show, draining show, technical crap. But again, it's over. And we can move on. And yeah, exciting times ahead. Tomorrow, I'll probably, I don't know, maybe, I know we're not going to do another live stream. So maybe I'll have a little video for this thing. I don't know what's happening. So stay tuned, guys. And again, support everyone on the panel. We do appreciate it, guys. Check out the links down below. You guys rock. We're out.
Later, everybody.
Zalker's a fraud.